All right, we are live just like that. Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday. This is, of course, Hash Church that you are watching, episode 136. Can you believe we've gotten 136 episodes into Hash Church? Well, it's the truth. We are, and it has, and it is. And I guess I will send out the link to the rest of the crew. Send the link out to these email guys. Send the link out to the Facebook link guys. And, I'll see if Chimera wants to come and hang out today. We got all these different ways that we have to send our messages. So I hope everyone's doing well today. Of course, I've done 6 wake and bakes this week already, sort of a little mini Hash Church without the panelists, just myself yammering on about different things. And that's been kind of fun. I have been enjoying that. Welcome. Good morning, Etienne.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, quite well. Another day, another church.
Absolutely. It's Sunday Fun Day.
It is, and there's already like 260 people in the room, so that's good fun.
Alrighty. Shall I start off with the latest in IACM news?
I mean, why wouldn't we? Welcome, Indra.
Hi, Indra. So starting off in Mexico, the parliament approved the medical use of cannabis. Mexico's Congress passed a bill on the 20th of April to legalize the use of cannabis for medical and scientific purposes. It already passed the Senate in December of 2016, so it now goes off to the president's signature. That's pretty big.
That is pretty big, actually. Really big. Exciting, too. I know that we have our group in Jamaica has been making headway with just getting relationships with one of the big pharmacies down there. I think it's called Farmacia Guadalajara. And they touch the majority of people in Mexico. Big country, lots of people. So
we sandwich them now. I mean, you both sandwich America. You will both have medical, federally, approved systems, and the U.S. will still be sitting there with its thumb up its ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely not an accident, though. So that's it's a strange way that the U.S. is going about it. It'll be interesting to see if, remember when we all thought, oh, it's once a certain amount of states get there, it'll just flip and it'll just happen. And is that still a reality, or is that like not so much a reality? I don't know.
I think the numbers are going to flip them. I think looking at all that profit is going to be what changes their minds. I mean, the drug war was never as profitable as taxation.
Yeah,
true. And I hate to say it, but that's how they're looking at it. Don't think the governor of Colorado isn't standing up to Jeff Sessions and saying, "Are you freaking kidding me? You're going to take $1 billion in revenue away from us? Get out of here! Get out of here with that."
One state.
Yeah, no, none of them want to hear it anymore. And every other politician in every other state is looking at Washington, Colorado, and other states and going, "Wow, we want that." The drug war has been expensive, hasn't brought in revenue, cost us tons of money. Yeah, I think things are going to change radically.
Yeah, without a doubt, with the changes that are coming foot and the things that are happening up on Capitol Hill regarding taxation and banking, and the individual states coming online. We have 29, almost 30 states medical, 8 legal plus DC. It's only just going to continue from here because multiple states are pushing for legislation and not even waiting to get to the initiative process. So we'll see what happens. But
do you think it means that we'll start smuggling marijuana to Mexico now?
That's actually been happening for a very long time, John. Very long time. Kind Bud has been going south since I moved here in '92.
Since Americans have been going south. Kind Bud's been going everywhere Americans have been going.
Yeah,
Kind Bud existed.
And remember, Todd, that Larry did get busted taking marijuana into Mexico.
Who did?
Timothy Leary.
No, it did not coming out. It was in his daughter's vagina.
Jesus, is that where it was?
Look up the case, guys.
Well, no, I remember the first time I met Tim and he told the story. I just had he left out the part that it was in her vagina.
Yeah, talk about an obtrusive search. Taking it a little far. And I think they found 2 joints worth of marijuana too, by the way.
Hey, but Tim took the rap for that. Did he not stand up and say, okay, it's me you want, obviously. They did it just to get him, no?
He owned both the daughter and the pot, it turns out, yes.
Right.
And it did cause the 1937 Federal Tax Act against marijuana to be repealed.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody should look up the Tim Leary Supreme Court case because it was the precursor of what became the Controlled Substances Act because he won, and Nixon decided to fix that.
Oh, Nixon, eh? Didn't he fix a bunch of things?
Oh yeah,
Fucking it up is fixing it. Yeah. You know.
He also created the
Well,
DEA.
You know how they say the fix is in?
Yeah.
He did create the.
You know how they say the Nix is out?
The drug war fix.
The drug war fix.
Nixon made the DEA, but the Nix is out.
Vagina is an awesome stash pocket, Cuban says. Yes, we call it the jailhouse wallet, but I don't know. I like a pocket where I don't have to hide anything. I just have it in my pocket right here and be like, oh yeah, it stinks a little bit. What's that? Oh, that's my hash. Don't worry about it. It's all legal. It's kind of what I'm going for.
it is a good feeling to feel like it's legal in California now. I mean, it's really just a mental shift alone. Like I have a right to have this joint. It's amazing.
Well, you know what? It's the media too, because I mean, all we did in Canada was announce that we were going to sit down and try to make legalization happen by next year. And basically that was enough for 2/3 of the world to be like, oh, it's legal in Canada. You can just go there and grow weed and I think you can buy it and sell it anywhere you want. And you could probably bring a couple of pounds with you if you want. It's like, no, not quite the utopian reality that you're thinking of. We still have, we still have people getting arrested for cannabis every day here in Canada. So obviously the fight is not over. You won't see the Emerys shutting up anytime soon as long as people are continually arrested. That's real. I mean, people want to say that all they want to do is go out and sell weed and make money. Hey, who doesn't? We all want to do that. But in reality, they're really fighting a battle here, which is arresting Canadians for cannabis right now after announcing legalization is a true waste of taxpayers' money and just an enormous burden on the system. Right at the end, when they're just about to sort of squeeze it off and tie it off, it seems, it seems exactly like how this agenda has released cannabis prohibition slowly, but an inch at a time as civil disobedience grows and is stronger and is pushing back in their faces sick children and sick people. And it's a lot. I cannot believe it's almost as though they are like the Vatican, who seems to just what I've said before, which is like slough off pedophilia charges like the way you and I change socks. It's kind of incredible that it's gone this far. This many people, think of how many people we've had just on the show alone telling their heartbreaking stories about cannabis and how it's helped improve their life or save their life. And yet we still have this government, these agendas that say, it's, we got to save the children. We got to protect the children. It's, the children. Everything out of Trudeau's mouth about cannabis, every second statement is about the children. It's really quite something, because he doesn't seem to be quite as concerned with the children when it comes to them accessing alcohol out of their parents' booze drawers or accessing pharmaceutical pills out of the medicine cabinet. But very, 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 very concerned for the children in regards to the benign substance that is cannabis, that produces cannabinoids that would and does regulate all of their biological functions. When you say it like that, it sounds pretty fucking insane, doesn't it? Welcome, Johnny B. Packing the bowl, as I see. Packing the bowl.
Can I ask you a question, Todd? Todd, the water pH system that changes the pH of the water that you're using to help combat powdery mildew and all that, could you make a comment on that, please?
Any water ionizer that doesn't use chemicals, all of the new water ionizers, John, use titanium plates and electrolysis to separate the molecules. So you have two streams of water. You have an acidic stream and an alkaline stream. Some of the earlier machines I would stay away from, because just like when growers pH down their water, they use acid. Some of the machines used chemicals in order to create the higher low pHs, but and I would avoid
electricity
those.
Is doing.
The new machines, however, though, using electrolysis, use no chemicals whatsoever, and I would recommend
doing it with chemicals.
Say that again, Mark.
Yeah. So what do you think the electricity is doing?
Electrolysis? What is electrolysis doing?
Yeah. So that's all a chemical process. So when you say it's not doing it with chemicals, that's not
It's not
entirely
it's not,
accurate.
Mark. You're not adding any additional chemicals to the water in order to create the higher
No,
level
but
pH. You're just using
water
electrolysis.
electrolysis. You're doing chemistry to it. So water is a chemical, man. Okay.
And
All
I
right.
understand that, but you're not adding any additional chemicals to the water. You're using
I get it,
electricity, and nature will bring it back. So the ionized water that's either high or low will actually go back to neutral after a little while. Nature will not put up with your meddling for that long. So you can't make high alkaline water and then put it on the shelf and expect it to be high alkaline water and a day later. Do you have any specific questions, John?
Well, do you recommend any specific system that you?
Any of them are good. I mean, the ones that look really nice to me are the Life Ionizers, but I don't have anything to do with that company. But now there are a lot of competitors out there because this is pretty common. I mean, we're learning more and more about water all the time and its importance, and any single grower will know that as soon as you start growing, you have to start learning about pH, or your plants will not tolerate you because they won't uptake the nutrients if they're not within the pH range that they can uptake the nutrients in. And that's kind of what led me down the road of thinking, wow, I should be feeding myself as good as I feed my plants. So that's what also got me into looking at the pH value of water and what I consume. So, there's a lot to it, to be honest with you, John. But I mean, it's really quite simple when you get into it. I mean, high alkaline water creates an inhospitable environment for things like powdery mildew and mold. It's that simple. And acidic water creates an inhospitable environment for things like bugs. This is why acid rain is killing our insects.
Yeah, I had somebody on the chat was asking me these questions and asked me if I would ask you. I understand exactly what you're saying, because if you tried to give me a glass of shitty water to drink, I probably wouldn't do very well either. And so I'm sure the plants react much in the same way. They want the same thing that we give them. Plus, they also want a ton of love.
Yeah, love's the hardest thing to teach in a grow book.
You have to learn it yourself first. That's the problem.
Yeah. And the thing about growing, I had a friend who was trying to grow at the same time I started to grow, and he gave it too much love, popsicle sticks and bread ties and trying to hold it all up when it just needed a little space, and it would jump right up and do well.
Yeah, well, when I was at the Southern California High Times Cup, and I hardly saw any flowers there. The whole thing was strictly a concentrate of all sorts. Believe me, I got a 3-pound package of samples when I left there. And a Cuban grower, I met him while I was there, and I walked up to his booth to get myself a gram of his stuff, and he wasn't having it. He gave me 5 grams and wouldn't take any money. And I tell you, it's like glass. It's such amazing stuff. And even the chocolate mint one looked like it was chocolatey. It was a little bit brown in color, but like glass. And these guys that are making these water hashes, man, it's a whole new level. I tell you, I didn't really understand the big involvement with it. At first, everybody's like, let's make the 99%. And I kept thinking to myself, well, hey, when I make an extract, it's the 99% less the skin that was on the outside of them. However, having smoked a bunch of different offerings, and especially Cuban growers, I have to say, I think I've become an addict for dry sift and cold dry sift, by the way.
Well, Indra, this is why originally when you told me that you had come up with a method that would put my bags out of business, that I wasn't super worried. And that was over 10 years ago you told me that. And I have sold so many bags since you told me that.
Dude, I was just worried that might
I know. I remember. It wasn't like he didn't say it maliciously to me. He really was like, "Oh man, I'm really sorry, but this is probably going to put you out of business." And I was like, "Man, listen, if you could be smoking what I'm smoking, you will understand that this company will never go out of business." Because
Hallelujah.
I will say this though, Mark. I mean,
Indra has seen the
BHO
light.
sales have eclipsed water hash sales in the state.
What's that?
Butane hash oil and the derivatives of that have eclipsed water hash sales in the
Absolutely.
state.
But I'm not talking about water hash sales. I'm talking about water hash bags so people can make it themselves that don't engage in the marketplace and sell it. They smoke it. And there's tens of thousands of them out there, dude, that are not going
More than that. No, you've done a great thing. You've handed people the tools to make fire. I love it.
And one.
We'll make that 10,001, Bubbleman, because I like this stuff too. But no, that doesn't mean I don't love the BHO. Because
of course it doesn't. We're all about the quiver.
I do both of them joyfully, but seeing so many different people come up with water hash and with different stuff at that Southern California Cup, I gotta say the Emerald Cup was great. And a lot of people say that the High Times Cup wasn't going to be as good, but the High Times Cup was crazy good. It was crazy fun being there. There was tons of people doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Got to watch Sub Cool 420 get his Seed God Award, and he threw a bag of about
4,000 seeds, dude. 4,000 seeds he threw away.
He threw them out in the audience, and I was steady right there. I was like 3 feet away taking pictures of it, sitting on my little electric scooter. And the stuff people threw out in the audience was crazy fun. I mean, people were actually just coming over by the end of the stage where I was and throwing stuff directly to me. Stuff was landing on my shirt, in my hand, in my hat. It was just, it was the best time ever. So I'm going to go to the Santa Rosa one too, because this is starting to get a little nuts. And plus that, we're going to start having a machine. We're going to go to every show here soon.
Nice. Well, you'll see all the regulars and all the fun people, and maybe you'll be able to come in on a hash church or two and show what's going on. I just took a giant rip. Probably didn't look that giant because this thing is insane. I just got to give a shout out to Ham Brushland, the glass blower, Ham Waterworks, if you want to check him out on Instagram. This is his glass gravity bong. I think it must take 2+ gallons of water, like for real. It's absolutely insane. You can see
where's the pipe go? How does it work? Do it again.
Yeah, you take the bowl off the top and then you just drop it. The water shoots the smoke out right here into your mouth. And so it's, I can't quite get it on camera, but I'm going to be hitting it throughout the episode here today. I mentioned it on my Wake and Bake yesterday that I was going to show this gravity bong today. So I just, listen, this is the first time I had ever smoked like a 0.5 gram of bubble at a time or more. You could literally, whatever you can fit on the bowl. And I'm actually using a Lux bowl because it's bigger than the one that Ham gave with the unit. But you could literally pound off, and you could put a D-nail in here. The only problem with me is that I don't have any 18s. This was literally the only other 18 mil bowl that I had. Everything I have for D-nail and electric nails, because an electric nail turned up a little warmer with a huge dab put on top and then lifted up. I'll do a video with that, but would have been fun for Hash Church. Instead, we're going to just be burning hash on it.
And Mark, you were talking about the quiver.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, dry sift to me was always the gold standard if you had a great variety that you really liked. Mm-hmm. But let's face it, water hash is water sifting hash. That's what brought pure hash to the masses, because import hash was never pure.
No one had ever really seen 99.9% heads, except for yourself and people around in your circle, and maybe a very few handful of people around the world. It was a very, very, very rare thing in the 90s to have access to. So to suddenly be able to figure out that water was a transfer chamber that kept all plant matter afloat while the density of the resin was still affected by gravity and sunk in the water. So it was that simple process that literally, I mean, man, it fueled the ego of hundreds, if not thousands. There are literally thousands of people out there that just think their shit does not stink because they make good water hash. And really, I hate to tell you, it's the bags, it's the genetics, it's the water, it's the ice. All we really do in the end is we break it up properly and we dry it. And if you don't fuck that up, then you can give yourself a small pat on the back. But give the big pat on the back to the grower, whoever's produced, went through the 3 months of variables that it took to allow that plant to express itself, its genetic expression to the maximum potential. I give the 90% of the props right to the grower, and because what am I doing?
We both know how hard it is to make great hash out of lousy, stinking weed.
Oh my God, it's damn near. It is impossible. It's impossible. Who wants to do it, eh? What size bags should we use? Well, Lois Lane, it depends on how much you're running. There's all sorts of different sizes, from 1 gallon up to you can mix in a 100-gallon stainless steel mixer. And as we go commercial, if you're producing commercial product, it's probably a good idea that you're very careful with water hash in particular, because it can produce microbials that are non-beneficial microbials. If you leave wet hash in your machine or in the seams of your bags, these things are microscopic. And if you don't have the proper SOP in place to look for them and to prevent them by steaming out your products, obviously, if you're in a solventless you're trying to make hash without the use of chemical solvents, then probably you don't want to use chemical solvents to clean all of your tools. So in which case you're going to need to work with steam. If you're working with steam, you should be using, high-end stainless steel materials, not like plastics and stuff. Food grade, maybe. It's a weird thing that this whole water hash, it just went from a personal thing to I'm doing this for a lot of people. And so I think that there are different methods for each of those. You can get away with cutting a few more corners when you're doing it for yourself. But once again, if you're making it a product, especially a medicine, then you have an enormous amount of responsibility to the people that you're, sending that medicine to. How important do you think certain shapes of ice and certain types of water are in making quality water hash? I think, to the degree, the hardness of the ice, how fast it melts, I can definitely say that chip ice that has fluoride in it, which helps it melt even faster, is garbage. It's like the worst ice. Some of the best ice I've had has been through, proper RO, everything stripped, and then basically, a pH that you're happy with into a cube from a cold craft ice maker that produces these crazy solid hard cubes where it melts less, and it even at room temperature. Those are the ice cubes I've always appreciated. But is there a science behind it? Do I get a higher yield? These are the things after you run a lot of water hash and you hear people say, oh, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it's like, okay, well, what have you seen by doing that? Is it something that your ego likes because it attaches an invention from you to a process that already exists? Or is it reality-based and you're actually now getting a higher yield, or you're getting it quicker? Because with water hash, if you're isolating 99.9% heads, the only two things you can really increase are the amounts that you're getting and the speed that you're getting them at. Otherwise, the process is the process. You put in the plant matter. Go ahead.
Marcus?
Yes.
Have you tried thermal beads yet to replace the ice with, because they never melt?
Yes, we played around with not necessarily thermal beads, but we played around with the ones that are used in cleaning jewelry. And you can make them cold, you can make them warm, you can, they use them in sonification units to bump off the dirt on jewelry. We played around with those as well, but I found, I always got to the same thing, John, which was like, okay, people are like, I'm going to build a walk-in freezer. I'm like, okay, but you don't need, like, for dry sifting, that's amazing. But for water hash, it's all created in the chamber. And then I'd see people wrapping their washing machines with insulation. And I'd be like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just trying to make it colder. It's like, why are you trying to make it colder? The temperature is like 4 degrees above zero. It's perfect temperature. It's going to freeze the wax membrane. So there was always people wanting to make it better. And I'm always willing to see it be made better. But the process is really so simple. And one of the things I loved about it was that I could go into the jungle in Jamaica and I could make this shit. I didn't have to be like, oh, where's the walk-in freezer? Where's the RO machine? Where's the ice maker? Where are all these? I could just go, we carry a little bit of ice in a cooler, a little bit.
Well, You know, the thermal beads stay
Yeah.
cold
Yes.
for a really long time. I mean, you can cool them down really cold, and they stay cold for hours.
Well,
They outlast ice by 10 to 1.
Well, we're mixing for no more than 15 minutes. And at the end of the mix, all of my ice that I put in at the start is still present at the end. So once again, it's unnecessary. Most people aren't going to have access to thermal beads. You can just make ice for free. Almost everyone that has power, you can just put it in your freezer in a little thing and you can make ice. And that's it's always been the simplest way to allow everyone to play. I'm sure the thermal beads might very well fit into a lab setting where it's like, now it's a commercial process and it's like, we need to keep this going and processing. And right now, although I have to say the ice machine that we have rocking, maybe Tony will come in and talk a little bit about it later. It is a producer and it produces the most beautiful hard ice that I would say it produces ice that lasts potentially the longest out of any ice machine that produces ice, the life cycle before it melts.
So this would be bubble-free ice, I assume, then.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Listen, look it up. It's called Cold Craft. Both cold and craft are spelt with K's. And it's a cool little company. They've got all sorts of different units, and they take this very seriously in regards to the science of ice making. Cool. Keep it simple, stupid, somebody says, Tara Lee.
I remember when when I started doing ice hash, I went and bought a freezer just so it was a ice master, just so it can do the half moon ice. And I tried to get that hard ice that we talked about. And that was the key thing with me was what ice was I going to use? And we were talking all about it. So it's pretty cool to talk about it again.
Oh, I'm always happy to talk about all things hash for sure. The extraction world is definitely where I found the majority of my passion and just the passion for the hashing, I guess, if you will. There's some guys that did a little documentary a few years ago. If I knew their names, I'd shout them out. Bro's from Hawaii, I believe. Big red bearded dude. Wish I knew his name, but yeah, he did a little movie called The Passion for the Hashing, little documentary, little 2 or 3 parter. I like the term. A passion for the hashing. I think the majority of you guys. Ryan Axton's asking me, why aren't your bags all mesh? Okay, well, I'll tell you why. Because when you mix in an all mesh bag, you shoot material to the sides with centrifugal force. Instead of allowing it to settle down, a lot is pushed to the side. So when we did mesh with sidewalls that were high, low sidewalls, it's not a problem. But high sidewalls, like halfway up the bag, it becomes a problem and the hash purity is lessened. So I avoided it personally. I have techniques that allow me to drain bubble bags, even 20-gallon ones, in under 10 seconds, no matter how much resin is sitting on the screen. I suspect most people don't have that ability, so they say, oh, I get the sidewalls because it's easier to drain. I guarantee you I could drain a 20-gallon bubble bag, 25-micron bag, right next to someone with a sidewall bag, exactly as fast as them. I guarantee it. So I don't feel the use for them at all. I never have. I've had people ask me to produce sidewall bags for them, and we've done it. It's not a problem. We can produce them, but it's not something that I stand behind. We do it the way we do it. Watch, make your ice with filtered and What's that? Oh, shall we talk about the metal bong? You guys want to talk about the metal bong? Did you see them? Bong? Come on, Todd. Okay, Todd. Seriously, you don't know about the metal bong?
The $13,000 bong, is that the one you're talking about?
The one that's 3D printed in aerospace material, lighter than metals.
Oh,
because there's only 2 types of bongs, right?
About it, but I didn't actually see it.
You have to honestly listen. No, forget about the photo. You have to go Google the $13,000 bong Vice Tokyo Smoke. It's a 2-minute video.
You have to watch it.
Yeah, you have to watch it, and then you can only then. Oh, Todd's gonna have some shit to say about this too.
Oh, dude. Well, I'm a glass collector myself, so to see the guys stand there and say, it's supposedly supposed to be creative in the,
yes,
the sort of, there's the condescension, and then, there's only 2 types of, pipes. There's the small dragon and the big dragon.
Well, you know what? I was talking to a good friend of mine who's actually friends with one of those guys, not the designer, but the guy with the beard. I believe his name is Alan. And she tells me honestly, she says, Mark, he is the nicest guy. He's nothing like how he's coming across. And I've seen this before. You've seen it in the opposite, where people can come across as really nice people on video, and then you meet them in person and they're huge dicks. Apparently the way this guy's working it is he's actually a really nice person in person, but he's coming off as quite pretentious and pompous and condescending in the video that Todd is potentially looking for.
The guy that just said there's only really been one bong.
Yeah.
He is really not that bright, it seems. If he's never been to a head shop and seen more than one bong design.
Well, there's the small dragon and then there's the large dragon. I get it. There's endless amounts of comedy. You know, my friend called me up the other day and she said, oh, he's so bummed out about this. He absolutely did not mean to insult an entire community. What can he do? And I sort of suggested this. I said, listen, he's got a shop in Toronto. Why doesn't he get in touch with some glass blowers that he unintentionally offended, maybe sponsor them to come to his shop to have a round table discussion about the stupid shit that he said, and invite people from the community and just be like, listen, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sorry. Because it's a rough situation. I'll tell you that much, because that video is...
You insulted a large group of artists that have pushed themselves from the underground into the mainstream and are selling pipes for 5 to 6 figures. And this is a natural, organic art movement. And then to come out and immediately just backhand swipe him, he may not have meant to, but basically that's what he did. And you're talking, there's very many talented kids coming up who are learning from these masters. On top of that, these masters are organizing groups all around the United States so that these kids can come and learn from them and learn these techniques, so that they're pushing the entire art movement together. And so to hear somebody come out who, it made him sound, one, ignorant, two, who doesn't know the scene, and turned off a whole bunch of people just with their attitude, and because they came forth with so much ignorance, thinking they knew what they were talking about. It's just,
I think he did it on purpose.
Right. I go at John. This
he definitely did not.
This bullshit. He can't believe this crap. There's no way that he's looking at that thinking, yeah, 13 grand. It looks like the stupidest object I would have ever smoked out of in my life.
Well, it's really expensive because it's high-end steel. It's high-end steel.
Oh yeah, because who wants a high-end steel bong? You know.
It's good for metal detectors at the airport.
You know, made on a print.
Doesn't break when you drop it.
You know, well, yeah, and you can't see inside of it. You know, I want to see let's make a great function.
And made on a machine that cost $1 million to do the mold. I was like, $1 million. What is that? Like a month of mothership sales? Like honestly, like what?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
It's just like. What are you talking about? It's a lot of money. I don't want to talk money. Okay, we're talking money. I don't want to talk money, but we're talking money. Let's talk money. Like, holy shit.
I want money.
I don't know. I thought it was yeah, I feel bad for the guy. If he didn't intend to do that, it's he's definitely got his work cut out for him to figure it out and get it sorted. But
dude, he's got his work cut out for him to find a new business, because he ain't gonna sell any of those things.
Well, the owner of Tokyo Smoke, Lauren, he's a huge businessman. He owns like a couple of LPs in Canada. He's been involved with the marijuana industry since like the early 60s. There's a big article on him in a global Canadian business called Marijuana Investor. Lauren Kent's great in there on the future of cannabis and pop business. He's got a huge article on.
Did you read the article, John?
I'm reading.
Okay, well, the article is about as good as the video that we're talking about right now. It's pompous, it's arrogant, and it's just unbelievable. Like, you can't believe it. But is it just me? Or does the designer guy kind of look like hipster Nicka T?
Or maybe he's trying to look like Nicka T.
Someone said it on one of my comments. They were like, when did Nicka T become a hipster? And I was like, holy shit, that kind of does look like Nicka T from a distance. Maybe
he looks like a street bum who needs a haircut, and he's asking for a quarter on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I actually met Lauren at the Lyft conference there in Vancouver, and I think it was September, October. He was walking around, had a chat with him. He's pretty old, pretty cool, like chilled back dude. I didn't know about his $13,000 bond business. But.
Oh, that's because that's not Lauren. That's Alan, his son.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. That's
yeah. Well, Lauren's his father. And yes, Lauren was involved with Prairie Plant Systems like 20 plus years ago from the beginning, and involved in a bunch of different things. I've met him quite a few times as well through my friend in Toronto, who's always had nice things to say about both of them. You know, she's a mother too. She says, man, I wish my son could turn out like Alan. Like, she really had great things to say about him. I'm like, listen, then tell him to stop making videos, because if he's really that nice of a guy and he's coming across this bad, he should just stop. You know, like if Vice wants to do an interview on pipes, tell him to pass it on to like the Mothership Boys or something, because it's just not doing yourself any favor. Although there are people that believe any advertising, any media is good media. I'm not sure I believe that, but maybe it's true. Should we have another gravity bong?
About fake media?
I don't know. Isn't media all fake? I don't even understand.
You know, though, if what John says is true, and he's a wealthy guy with a lot of business contacts, it makes sense why he got Vice to do a video on him and give him traction on something that is utterly worthless, because it's the kind of marketing money can't buy. You have to have connections to get a 2-minute video on Vice that you hope goes viral. And, you know, to me, I think it's part of the world we live in now. A lot of the stuff that comes at us as, you know, oh, we're going to talk about this, you know, rationally, is just marketing bullshit. They're not saying anything but crap at us. And if you can't see through it, yeah, whatever. I don't think that's a $13 bong, never mind a $13,000 bong, you know, but whatever.
I knew you'd like the video, Todd.
Hmm?
I knew you'd have something to say about that video.
That is absolutely horrible.
And
I'm looking at the whole thing and what's happening in Canada, and when they're going to stop branding, so any cannabis accessories won't be able to brand on a label or anything like that. And Lauren has a big thing about the brands and designs become important in an industry. So hopefully someone like Lauren will tackle Health Canada on these laws, and with the money that he has, and maybe this is just a step of him moving towards going against the laws that they're trying to stop. No branding, no nothing of advertising whatsoever of cannabis. Zero. It becomes kind of like hidden behind a black curtain, and no one even really knows anything about it. They're really hammering on the advertising and being able to sponsor any kind of events in Canada, which we're having, like we talked about last time. Almost every week we have an event.
Not to sound totally old, but think of how much everything has changed in just 25 years. I mean, in Canada, here in the United States, I mean, you give this another 25 years with things like the internet and communication happening at an even faster rate than it's already been happening in the last 25 years. I don't think we can even count how exponential the change is going to be when it comes to cannabis and understanding the world around us.
True story right there.
That's definitely changing. We're scratching the surface every day.
Welcome, D. How about gravity bong rip?
Gravity bong rip, mother lover. Good morning,
Darren. Morning. I missed you at the tattoo convention, Darren. I was there last night.
Well, I got my whole left butt cheek tattooed.
don't show us.
Giant pot leaf. No, I'm not showing you.
Come on.
I wouldn't do that.
They had all the guys up on stage and all the girls showing off their tattoos last night. I didn't see you there.
No, well, I was there yesterday. I went there yesterday with Patrick. We were there for a couple hours and took Rocco out and got him all baked up a couple times. And
They said you were there. You said you were walking around, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, then me and Patrick went and had Joey's.
That full melt sift through the gravity bong is insane.
That full melt sift. Which one? Was that
Pine Tar Kush. It was Pine Tar Kush. I just smoked it right through this.
It is so tasty, that stuff. Wow.
Well, let's try it through this one time and hit like a 1/4 gram of it.
Okay.
I'll have to get you.
It's getting me mad blasted, I'll tell you that much. It's like taking 3 D-nail rips, or 4 is the equivalent of taking one of these. I'm going to be cross-eyed at the end of this hash church.
You can see your face. You're like lit up. It's kind of like,
Oh, yeah. I'm
Like
feeling
every hash church.
like a Christmas tree. Like the hat, bro. Like the hat.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Just didn't want to comb my hair really this morning, so.
I'm rocking the 73. You know,
Nice.
sometimes you got to rock the 73. Shout out to Javier from Medical Seeds. Thanks for the hat, brother.
Javier. Nice.
I went
Javier.
hat shopping last night and picked up a hat. I'll show it to you guys next week. It's got to have the proper shirt.
Oh shit! You got a hat that goes with what was the metal bong called? I think it was called Adge Oak. Adge Oak.
A joke?
Adge Oak.
It's a joke.
It's Adge joke.
It's
It's for Ron. It's for Ron, bro.
fucking, that's later on is not very far away.
Oh my goodness. How's everyone doing today? We got almost 800 people chilling out and watching right now. Michael Manning's in the house from Blue River. Ooh. What did he ask about the gravity bong? Everyone wants to know about the gravity bong. Back table and show the full action once. I've showed the full action twice. And of course, I'll be showing the full action again. It's very simple. It's a gravity bong. You lift it. It suctions and pulls the water. The bubbles in the air pulling produce the smoke, fills the whole thing up. You take the top off, and then you just drop it. And it shoots the
And
smoke
it's
out.
truly an amazing bong rip.
Listen, I have photos of this from the 2004 Toker's Bowl where everyone was all dressed up. Jody Emery's ripping it, Rhiannon's ripping it. Everyone was hitting this thing so hard. It was really quite something. I'll never regret keeping one of these because I only got 6 from Ham and I sold 5 of them at the Melting Point Gallery, and I made damn sure that I held on to this one. And I always remember people saying, good luck not breaking that. And I have had this for like 13 years. So
Well, it has seriously closed your eyes down since you started taking tokes off.
yeah, dude, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. It's the real deal. Look at Mark Scaldone with the D420K hat too. I like it with the Quebec with the little
No, this is we're celebrating Jazz Fest.
Jazz Fest.
New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival this weekend. So for all our friends who are down there in New Orleans, seeing all that great music, eating all that great good food.
That's this weekend and next weekend. See, I got
Yep.
I got mine on too.
Always. That's awesome. You know, I never ended up down at New Orleans for the Jazz Festival, but I used to go to Montreal's festival every year. And let me tell you,
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
pretty impressive. You know, who would have thought that Montreal would just be like, have the greatest jazz fest in Canada by far. Like, it's literally like
Down a bunch of streets, and
they
it's just
do.
everywhere. There's stages everywhere, and
Listen.
there's just beautiful, gorgeous women for all you single men. Before you get married, that's Montreal,
Yeah.
and just look at
Before
all
you get married, don't.
yeah.
I can't say that. I've been married for over 20 years, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Yes.
Tell me
Me
again
too.
at 35.
Well, I've been together for 28 years. We've only been married for 22. So I will let you know at 35, and I promise you I'll let you know at 40.
I've been married for 45 years.
And is Diana not your best friend?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Exactly. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, and the point here was to illustrate that there's tons of beautiful women in Montreal, and not to talk about the institution of marriage, which I think a few subscribe to, right?
I was
You
married
need
for a
You
year.
need to be in an institution if you like
I was
marriage.
married for a year too.
Married
But it's a beautiful city. It's the most European city in North America, I think there is. I mean,
Mhm.
most of Canada, at least to me, is, you take a few things from London, put them in Cleveland, and you got Canada. But actually, Montreal is a real European city. It's just, you could hear French being spoken. The signs are in French. It's just, you really feel like you're in Europe.
And
Absolutely.
have you been to the European festival that they have every year?
In Montreal?
In Switzerland, no, I have not.
The Montreux Jazz Festival. That's really the trilogy right there. Montreal, Montreux,
Absolutely.
and New Orleans.
I have
Not in
friends-
that order.
I had friends who used to come every year just for that. Then they drop in before or after.
Well, the cool thing about Montreal, first of all, it's like a 10-day festival, the Jazz Fest, maybe even longer. So it's long, and it takes you right into the next festival, which is called Juste pour rire, which is just for laughs. It's a comedy festival. So you get all the greatest comedians in the world all coming and, right down into Montreal. So you can literally see the greatest jazz you've ever seen. And for anyone that, is going to take Mark's advice, I suggest this. go stay in Montreal before the jazz festival at the Wyndham Hotel. Keep one of the key cards that allows you to go from the base street up to the first floor through the elevator, which is the entrance to the hotel. If you have that card, you can get into the bar at night at the Wyndham when all of the people all the musicians who stay at the Jazz Fest stay at the Wyndham, all the top billed artists, and they jam at night in the bar just together. And it's never announced. It's all one-of-a-kind shit, like Ray Charles and Charlie Hunter and, Regina, what's her name there with the violin. Just incredible musicians all coming to one stage. So that is a golden gem right there. I don't mind saying it publicly because I know only a very small percentage of you will even consider doing it. It's worthwhile doing, let me tell you. You can't get into that bar without a key. The key doesn't have to be working. You just have to be able to show it to them.
But I would have to say, if you finally do get to come to America, Jazz Fest is one of the things in New Orleans that's
it's the number one
on the list, man. I'm telling you, because
trust me, I know.
Since I was knee high to a grasshopper, I mean, I was watching the Meters and everybody, all the best bands in the world. Always, I mean, the lineup's set a year ahead of time, and I mean, it's always
galactic.
Just jaw dropping. And then, as you say, then you just go around the French Quarter, you go around to the jazz bars, and you just hang out, and you will see and listen some of the best, most amazing jams, spontaneous, never heard of, on the spot. I mean, if you love jazz, because I want to go to the one in Montreal now.
Well, dude, the only reason I went to the one in Montreal was because of the recordings that I was gifted and collected from New Orleans. Of course I knew about New Orleans. I knew that was the one I needed to go to. At that point, I really couldn't get into America anymore. And so I was like, shit, I can go to Switzerland or I can go to Montreal. So I made it an annual event and started just going to the Montreal one. I was surprised at how great it was. And also, of course, I speak fluent French. So it was also wonderful to visit the city of Montreal while speaking French and being able to communicate. And it was just, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I would love to go to New Orleans. That's number one on my list for sure.
Say something in French, Bubbleman.
Dis quelque chose en français, Bubbleman.
Merci beaucoup. Quelle heure est-il?
Il est 9h47.
Well, that means when you're in Paris, you'll be treated decently instead of like an American dog or Canadian dog that you really are.
Yes, but let me tell you something about that. If you talk québécois français, qu'est-ce que c'est là? C'est quoi tu sais là? This is québécois French. They do not like that, and they will treat you just like an American.
I agree with you. It's like talking Mexican Spanish when you're in Spain.
Bingo. You got to speak Parisian French. Français comme ça. Bonjour, je suis Marcus, le Bubbleman.
Disneyland Paris, they'll forgive you and they'll be happy. You can speak both.
Right? There you go.
Le mouse?
Le mouse? I think it's almost time for like an actual bong rip. This gravity bong is, you got to take a break on this thing every once in a while and just hit like a bong rip.
Yes, remember, gravity is always on.
Tell you.
Yeah, change your eyes back from raisins to eyes.
Well, it's amazing to use it in water to extract your resin and then to take that resin and use it in water to smoke that resin. Gravity. Look into it. It's keeping you on your seat. Or maybe it's not. Maybe there's like a flat earth theory that I don't know about. But nobody on this panel is going to sink themselves anytime soon by saying that they believe the earth is flat. Although Todd has told me in private that it's not.
It's not flat. I mean, it's not round. It's flat, right? Yeah, it's flat. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
If you wear concave glasses, it's flat.
You can use a lot of different things to help you out with gravity. For instance, I use Viagra, but not for the aforementioned thing. I use it to keep myself from rolling out of bed at night.
Oh, that's a good idea. It just keeps a little sort of shunt that keeps you from rolling over. That's a good idea. That's a good use for Viagra right there. I think I want to stop thinking about that now.
This is fairly pregnant silent. It's kind of funny because it happened because of Viagra. So I guess it worked.
It must. I like the fact that Sam is wearing a little Pepe Le Pew skunk hat right now.
That's from Team Skunk.
Oh, that's the actual Skunk Works?
No, not Skunk Works. It's Team Skunk. It was a junior league baseball team in the Bay Area.
You're hilarious, dude. You have the most random, eclectic collection of shit that's connected to pot, but not really.
I also have a beanie bag, one of those little beanie bag toys. That's a skunk.
We have our softball team. We're called the Green Jays. Have been for over a decade.
The Green Jays. The Green Jays. Well, I'll tell you, pretty blasted off of a couple of gravity bong rips and a little egg rip there. That's a nice morning right there.
It's the pine tar.
What's going on,
So
D?
if you're floating in outer space, that pipe would not work, correct?
This pipe, you'd probably require some type of a pump.
So you have to pump it up.
Oh, you know what? If I'm going to outer space, I know of a $13,000 metal bong you can get that actually will survive in space. So,
Yeah, but those guys, I don't know. I don't like the way they presented that bong. Like, there's no other fucking bongs out there on the planet.
I know. I guess they've never seen this
Or this.
or this.
The
Or
first
this.
bong I saw was
Or this.
in 1969, and it was
Yes.
made out of bamboo.
Cool.
All right, how many people made a bong in shop class?
Hello.
Out of the nuts and bolts, man.
Are you kidding me? Now, how about this?
I
Go
saw
ahead.
that bamboo bong in 1964, Sam.
Well,
Just outside of a village in Vietnam.
that's the difference. You see, I didn't go to Vietnam. I had friends who came back from Vietnam and showed me bongs.
That's how come you didn't see it till later. I saw it earlier.
Well, I saw it way
I-
later.
I'm not sure it was worth the price, though, to have to go to Vietnam to see a bong a few years earlier.
No, that's true. But actually, having looked back on it over the years, I think getting to smoke pot in Vietnam under a kind of a stressful situation served me well my entire life.
Also, most of the bongs I saw in Asia, in many countries, were actually used for tobacco. But I saw it definitely used for cannabis also.
They had this stuff in Vietnam. I don't know what it was. It was ground up and it looked like tobacco, but the Papasans would roll a piece of paper up in a cone, stuff some of the stuff in the top, sit down, burn it up in one toke, and then grin. And so I was watching this for quite a while, and one day I got Papasan off to the side and I said, "Hey, roll me one of those," because I wanted to see what it was. I still don't know what it was till this day, but I never had a rush like that in my life. I smoked it, and craziest body and head rush. 5 minutes later, I was right back to normal again, just like.
And do you ever smoke tobacco?
No, I never have.
Maybe it was tobacco. If I was to accidentally take a hit of tobacco in a pipe, I mean, I get incredible head rushes. Not only that, but I'm known to turn green and throw up.
I'm with you on that one, Sam. I'll tell you, it's not a good vibe, especially when it's radioactive tobacco. Like, it's one thing if it's like my Jamaican friends have this tobacco they grow in the jungle, and it doesn't make me sick. I don't smoke it, but if I smell it, I don't get a headache. Whereas if they light a cigarette, I get a headache right away.
I prefer the radioactive tobacco because it's much easier to find on your bedpost at night.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but the radioactive tobacco will prevent you from getting lung cancer.
Yeah, right.
But you'll die from the radiation first instead.
It's bad shit. It's not even a joke. They spray radioactive nucleotides on tobacco. It's you can Google that shit. Look it up.
Let's have a bong rip.
All righty then.
Do a bong rip, everybody.
if we must.
Thought he was going to have a little kid walk in there for a second. Whew.
It almost became kid show.
Some days, you know, some days. We've had kids on Hash Church.
I just had another grandbaby. On the 21st, he was born.
Well, happy and congratulations, Dan. Didn't we just talk about this?
I've told everybody 3 or 4 times. I'm so happy. My little Lyndon's birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Lyndon.
Lots of birthdays in April.
Yeah.
April's a good month. On the 22nd, I turned 71.
Right on.
Nice. Yes, my first child was born in April.
We got 3 grandbabies in April right now.
That's a good lot for you. Us Aprilers turn out a lot of things over our lifetimes, especially master numbers in April.
Yeah, I've heard there's some pretty extraordinary people born in the month of April.
Besides me.
Yeah.
November is the month.
August is the month I'm putting my money on. But
I have a son born in August.
Hey, let's all do a bong hit for Nick Sand, the gentleman that used to make Orange Sunshine, just passed away at age 75.
Nick passed away? Are you kidding me?
Nope. Nick did pass away. It's a true story.
In bed.
Yeah, he crossed the plane.
Well, give thanks, Nick, for all that you did and still have yet to do.
You would have think Scully would have been the first one to go.
Well, I got to thank the man for his creation because I was very fortunate to actually try original Orange Sunshine from a time capsule, and that and the Purple Haze were some of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had, and I cannot thank the man enough for opening my soul forever to a beautiful experience.
And was the Purple Haze supposedly from Owsley?
Yes.
Purple Owsley. It was the greatest
At the time, it was actually called Sweet Purple.
Is that what it went by in the day? It was. It came in. They were little capsules, and you could take them and put them in between quarters and crush them, and then snort the acid. And the onset comes on in 15 minutes, and it was absolutely the most beautiful experience. And one time, I did it and was completely surrounded by a SWAT team, and it was still an amazing experience.
Damn.
Must have been a little paranoid, though, eh? Snorting it in front of a bunch of SWAT guys.
Well,
no, they shared it with him.
Well, what had happened was we had a day off at the can house, and we were going to go to Stinson Beach. So we were getting everything ready, and so we were all getting ready, and the guy who was driving us was just eating a couple of edibles. So I snorted my acid because we were just getting ready to get into the van, and I go over to the window. I'm on the 2nd story of this old Victorian house, and as I look out, I step on the couch and look out onto the street. And as I look out on the street, I see 1 cop car, 2 cop car, 3 cop car, 4 cop car. Then I see a SWAT van, and then somebody gets out and starts laying flares. And everybody's getting out and drawing weapons. And I literally screamed to the rest of the house. I'm like, guys, we're not going anywhere. We're surrounded by cops. And they're like, fuck you, whatever. I'm like, fuck you. And they all came out, and because the cops had blocked our van in, so there was no way of getting out. And it turned out to be in about 5 minutes, then they came and knocked on my door, and I go downstairs, and I get the one elected just as I'm starting to peak. I'm the one selected because I was ex-military, so I get to go deal with the cops. So I prepare myself, open the door, step outside the door, close the door behind me, and I'm leaning up against the door. And in my face, I have a lieutenant who with the SWAT team, and he's got a sniper. And he's like, we've got a hostage situation next door, and your kitchen has a perfect view for the sniper. Can we come in and use it as a sniper's nest?
Holy shit.
Just then I realized I've got 3 pounds of leaf that were just donated to CAN right beneath that window because we're going to roll joints for a pot rally that we're going to do and pass them out for free. So I automatically, as I'm peeking, I'm realizing, oh shit, there's 3 pounds of pot right where the guy wants to sniper. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm ex-military and I have PTSD, and you cannot come into this place with your weapon. I will not have it in any way, shape, or form. And they're like, oh, totally cool, man. We completely understand. All
Wow.
good. So
Perfect answer.
I then go back into my house, of course, lean against the door, and I'm like, how the fuck did I pull that off? I go up the stairs and I'm like, guys, there's nothing we can do. We're surrounded. And literally it turned out to be a 6-hour standoff. And by the time the cops breached the facility where it was, the people had left before the cops had even got there. So it was completely wasted situation. But I had done 2 hits of that acid and did not freak out. Completely surrounded by cops and snipers, all guns drawn for 6+ hours. So that's some pretty solid acid.
Thank God they weren't in the room with you. That is an incredible story, Etienne. Wow. That is...
When I got sentenced to prison, I was sentenced to a place called Terminal Island Prison. And when I got there, the very first day I was there, you go out on the yard, and this guy, kind of gray-haired guy, walked up to me and basically shook my hand and said, "Hi, my name's Nick Sand," gave me a hug. And I had to stand there for a minute, and I was like, Nick Sand, like Orange Sunshine? And he was like, you know, and I was like, of course I know. And I was like, how do you know who I am? He's like, I watch the news. And I was like, okay. And he then brought me like to yoga and had me sign up for Common Fair, introduced me to the Native Americans. We started doing sweats together. And for like 2 years, I lived at Terminal Island, and Nick was, you know, like a sage. I mean, really sweet guy, you know, kind of guided me in. He'd already been in since '94. And so about 6 years. And he's just a fantastic person. Like, I was really so lucky, in all honesty, to have him there when I got there.
Well, you told me that you did sweats and other things that he invited you into, and, you know, it wasn't just a casual meeting.
Yeah, Nick was amazing. I mean, it's hard to get to prison. You don't know anybody, you know what I mean? And you don't trust anybody because you're in prison. And yeah, to have like your guide be this person and counterculture that you looked up to and that you thought the world of was just pretty epic. You know? So I was really sad when he passed away. It really broke my heart, to be honest with you.
Hey, welcome, Marcel. I had to mute you because your shit was loud, so you're muted now. You got to unmute yourself if you want to say hi. We're just talking about Nick Sands and, of course, the infamous Orange Sunshine.
Oh, I love that orange sunshine. You know, you go outside and everything's just bright orange everywhere. It's great.
Right. But we were earlier discussing the $13,000 metal pipe because, you know, there's only really ever been 2 bongs.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to be really creative today, and I'm making a large, small format dragon.
There you go. Dude, you're fucking ahead of your time as always, dude.
Heck yeah. Right on.
Nice to see you on the show.
I just want to let you guys, I'm a little pressed for time today, but I want to join the Hash Church, so I actually set the computer up by my torch. And I'm going to be working and listening to what you guys are doing, and if that's okay with you guys.
Oh, dude, that'd be amazing.
All right, sweet. Yeah, so if you want to watch my, I'm going to make an air trap reticello in the next 20-30 minutes.
Oh, my God.
And you guys can watch that and talk shit.
That's so cool, dude. I love. Go ahead, Etienne.
Marcel, it was great to see you at the Vagabond premiere in San Francisco for JD Mapleton. That was an honor to see you and D-Rec. Much love.
Oh, yeah, that was super fun. I was glad. It was funny. You ended up sitting right next to us, or we sat behind you. I was like, oh, that's that guy. I know Etienne. So, yeah, see, I'm wearing my Vagabond shirt. If you guys haven't gone out to get a screening, definitely do. It's well worth it.
The American Pipe Dream.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, JD Mapleton made a movie of traveling around the country doing the pipe making thing, and it's incredible. It finishes off at Chalice, but it shows all kinds of great collaborations. Also has Marcel in it, and you know what they're doing there at Project 33. So yeah, absolutely, man. Woohoo!
Heck yeah.
Wicked. Well, I'm stoked, dude. I'm like actually as excited as Etienne is right now to see you bust out an air trap Raticello in the next 20 to 30 minutes.
All right, sweet. Well, it's going down. I'm just trying to get my torch lit right now.
It's going down. I love this. You know, it reminds me of the Full Melt Bubble days when I had my live video chat going, and I would invite glass blowers in to come and you know, blow glass while we were chatting. It was the coolest thing. Bates used to do it quite a bit, and I like Bates. He's really out there in his mind. It's like he really gets into some sort of different things. It's not following the same regular old path. And did you see what I was puffing out of today, Marcel?
I did not.
The fucking ham gravity bong, bro.
Oh, shit. Damn, you survived that?
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, man, it might look good like off of a volcano. If you could rig a volcano up so it pumped the air in and it just filled it up.
I'm thinking even an e-nail to heat, you know, turned up a little higher, or even a banger for that matter, heated up with a torch and a huge blob put in. It could work pretty well, but it's an 18, so who the hell makes 18s anymore?
Oh no, right? How are you gonna find that?
It's like trying to find a flower bowl. Hey, can you make me a flower bowl? Oh.
Oh no.
Wow, that's cool. Background, we're going to have Marcel doing a little glass blowing in the background, which is great. I think that'll be good. We'll have to obviously mute his mic once his torch starts getting going. But I look forward to it.
I thought I was ready to go, but apparently not quite.
Well, we're excited to see it.
My torch got unhooked last night or the other day for cleaning. We just wiped the shop down with water. That's always a pleasant thing, feeling healthy.
Yeah, I bet. You got to keep those shops as clean as possible, I'm sure.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot better when it's clean.
Right.
Hey, Marcus, does that water get dirty?
You know, it would take, okay, because first of all, right now it would, because I'm actually burning bubble. It's full melt dry sift. Sorry, not bubble. Here, let me mute you, Marcel, just to get rid of the background noise. So yeah, over time it would get dirty. You can see the Lux has already gotten a little bit of yellow. Has that nasty smell because I've actually burnt the bubble instead of just vaporizing it off of a nail. I'm torching it, hitting it completely. So gives a big rip. If you put herb in here, the water would get dirty a lot faster, but it's an enormous amount of water. Like, honestly, I think it's like 8 liters of water.
Yeah, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to clean, isn't it?
No, I cleaned it yesterday. It was really easy to clean. It was glass like this is very easy to clean in the sense that what you want to do is, you know, I line my sink with padding. So if I want to put the pipe down, it's not getting put down on a porcelain or a metal sink, but it's going down on something soft. And I basically pour boiling water from a tea kettle through the pipe, both sections. I take the top section out and pour, you know, hold it with a glove because it's hot as you pour and spin it. That gets the glass really hot. Once the glass is hot, I could use probably maybe 3 shots of alcohol to clean this thing crystal clear by just dumping it in, giving it a little swirl, dumping it into the downstem, giving it a little shake. That's it. Rinsing it out with water. It's as clean can be. And I did that yesterday after not cleaning it for like a year. Like, it literally had a year-old resin caked on the inside of the downstem, and I still cleaned it pretty easily. Boiling hot water is the key.
You ever try using salt water in that thing?
Well, I've used salt and isopropanol. That used to be a good way to get rid of like the.
No, I mean salt water in the bong itself when you're using it.
Right. No, I haven't.
Okay. I was just wondering if the salt water was less susceptible to fouling.
I think what's less susceptible to fouling is A, not burning, and B, not using cannabis, instead just using concentrates. You could burn a lot of concentrates before this thing. Like, we burned probably over an ounce of bubble before just the tip of this little downstem in here started to get yellow. and we were straight lighting it, like one rip after another. We got ridiculous at the Toker's Bowl. I'm not sure if we ever got as big as a gram dab, but we were definitely doing half gram and bigger. And it was amazing because you could just hold a small flame, lift it up a little bit, and the suction on it would just light the whole thing up, turn it to this crazy thick smoke, and then blast you. Literally, got to give it up to Ham. He really crushed it with this gravity bong. Crushed it. It's the destroyer of people. I can tell you that.
Sounds like it's the most cannabis volume of smoke concentrated that there is, except for maybe a hubbly bubbly.
Yeah, exactly. It's on point with the hubbly bubbly. A little bit different. The hubbly bubbly is more smoke because if we could hit 4 or 5 of these in a row, that would be what the hubbly bubbly is like, because we're like hyperventilating through that pipe. This is one, and then you exhale and it's done. But yeah, if you could do 5 or 6 of these in a row, it would be very much on point with the hubbly bubbly.
It sounds excellent.
Yeah, you'd love it. Absolutely. The next time you're here, wherever I am, if we link up in Jamaica, I'll bring this to Jamaica, and it'll be like.
I have smoked gravity bombs before, but not that one.
This one's just precision, right? Everything Ham does is precise. So it's like when it works really good, and it's not plastic and it's all glass. So it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. Maybe I'll hit the climb. We ready to have another dab on this lazy Sunday afternoon? We're an hour and 10 minutes into church. We chilled. We only did like 2 hours last week. It was okay.
Well, we were recovering for 420 last week, so that's why.
Here, let me get rid of this sound. You guys talk.
What were you saying, Johnny B?
I said we were all recovering for 420 last week. That's why it was so slow. I was commenting on we were talking to a lot of people this week on the 420, what happened in Vancouver with the fields and people getting out of there in the mud, and then we're at another event last night, and all you could see was all along the whole sidewalk was cigarette butts littered everywhere. They had no ashtrays out, and I was going to say they should do a news report about this. And just kind of funny how they kind of take one of the biggest events here in Vancouver that was just so awesome for everybody, and they turn it around and say, well, they trashed the field. And anyways.
Well, they're always going to take shots wherever they can, because they can't give you props for a successful event. So any type of event that, any type of negative that they can harp on, they will.
Of course.
That's why people in Colorado, they have organized so that they have cleanups, so that they're cleaning up themselves.
Oh, it was so clean.
It was. People have to realize we got to respect these parks, and they give us these parks to deal with and to actually, utilized for freedom-wise. We have to actually respect it and return it accordingly.
We got the Global Marijuana March coming up next weekend, the first weekend of May. Isn't that coming up?
Where's that at?
No, here in Vancouver. Isn't that all around the world, the Global Marijuana March? I
think here it was called the Million Man Marijuana March or something.
Something like that. No, that's coming up next weekend. We march this down Robson Street down to English Bay, and they have a big Global Marijuana March. I've been doing it every year for years. So I wonder if they have that in other parts. I'm pretty sure they do. It's just some other events coming up for fighting for the cause and showing the support of cannabis, marijuana.
Good old cannabis. That was a good rip. I'm not going to lie.
Nice. Marcel put us with a nice little shield now, so we're not blinded by the flame.
Oh, he's looking out, bro. He's looking out. Looks like he's got like a pretty serious piece right there. I've always been amazed at these guys and what they're doing, because I have to admit, like, I've never really moved past, like, I'll never forget Slinger being like, oh, dude, you could blow glass. Look at the way you're operating that oil. I had this like old cherry oil, and I'd be like moving it around my little dabber and like pulling it out of the jar. And he's like, that's what we do, man. That's what we do right there. Like, you just moving glass around. And he said that to me so many years ago. Made me laugh. Fucking character. I really want to have a glass episode on Hash Church, a glass church, if you will, with a whole great list of glass blowers from the community, maybe even 20 or so. So we do it over the course of 4 hours, but I think it would be a great show, a great dialogue. And it's maybe even good timing now with this Vice article kind of dissing the entire glass blowing community. Such a strange maneuver. What are you going to do? 805 people watching. What's going on in the chat room? Chat's like blowing. Just made some Mandarin bubble.
We lost Marcel. Well, we just got a black screen and we let him know.
I see
that.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe I don't. I see his avatar. Let me click on him.
We were watching it here on the screen on my side. We were just watching him, and he just went black.
Maybe he froze up.
Yeah, he
He's
froze.
frozen.
Me too, John.
I can just
Hey guys,
see.
I turned my mic back on. Is the view okay? Are you able to see the flame at all? Is the glass making it too blurry?
We hear you,
We
but
hear
we
you,
don't
but-
see you.
Yeah, the camera had just shut off. We were seeing you.
It's not running now?
Hey, is that a Crucible pulled
We
cane
hear
you're
your
working with?
voice, but not your photo.
Oh,
There
no.
you are. There you are.
There you are.
I'm back.
Someone wanted to know if that was a Crucible pulled cane.
Yeah, all these little canes are pulled out of the Crucible. They're a small piece of orange, which was first dipped in Illuminati twice, I believe, and then a final dip in clear. So
You heard it here first on Hash Church, everybody. Marcel's in the Illuminati. Breaking
Yeah.
news.
I dipped my orange stick in the Illuminati. It's true.
Oh my gosh.
I
Well,
think they're
sweet.
called the Illuminati.
The
No,
Illuminati.
that model is called the Templar.
Those guys are pretty nutty, that's for sure.
Indeed.
It's the people that accept their bullshit that are truly nutty, though, to be honest.
Yeah, that's next level. They drank the Kool-Aid. Sometimes you
Yeah,
don't want
man,
to drink
they
the Kool-Aid.
fucking put the Kool-Aid in the water supply, those assholes. Here,
Jesus.
you now live in Kool-Aid. It's not water anymore.
Electrolytes.
Money, it's what humans crave.
Yeah, no shit. That's I think I saw that shirt under the Demon label.
Fuck yeah, so here we go. We're just gonna, these are all individual sticks still, except they're attached on the two ends. And I'm gonna basically move across the tube from right to left and merge all the sticks together into an actual tube as opposed to just a collection of sticks.
Crazy.
And in order to maintain my air trap, I can't melt it smooth. I have to go just enough to stick them together and seal the air gaps, but still leave the texture of the round canes. Because that's what crosses those pockets that are created, is how the air gets into the bubble.
And how does that bubble get so perfectly placed? Like it just looks like perfection.
Well, it has to.
Oh, we lost him again. Right when he was going to answer the great question that has always I've pondered for eons, lifetimes.
Yeah, the Illuminati did not want that information let out.
They did not, hey? They were
They
just like,
shut
we gotta
that
cut
shit
this.
down, man.
We gotta cut this shit
Do you,
short.
do you ever remember Marcus taking a really strong mushroom or acid trip and having all these epiphanies during the trip,
Of course.
finding something to write it on, and in the morning while you're sitting on the royal throne doing a poop, and you reach over and grab a roll of paper to wipe with, you notice that it's the same paper that you wrote all the cosmic secrets on?
Well, I mean, not exactly, but metaphorically, I've had a similar experience for sure. All the cosmic secrets that are learned and understood in the peak of the mushroom experience, quickly changing to the sort of, slumpy, back to the zombie sort of like foggy head, can't remember. I always pulled some of it out, but not always the intense epiphanies that were left there. That's for sure. What happens high on the mushroom stays high on the mushroom.
I always thought the secrets of life were hidden in the drawbars of the Hammond B3 organ.
It could be. It could be.
Or the combination of the two.
Or a combination of the two. I mean, John Medeski agrees with you.
He would.
He does, trust me.
Well, Medeski, Martin, and Wood. Yeah.
Yeah, he would. Right. Exactly.
Hey, what about the Wood Brothers? That's pretty good stuff.
All right, looks like Michelle's popping back.
Back in it to win it. Have you ever dabbed mushrooms? No, I have not. I have made mushroom tea. I have eaten mushrooms that tasted like rotten feet, but I have not smoked mushrooms. Have you not had the rotten feet mushrooms, Todd? Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff.
I tried to vaporize psilocybin, and I was unsuccessful at it.
Yeah, I tried vaporizing pure psilocybin crystals. No results either, sadly.
I tried turning into a spore and getting caught in cosmic radiation pressure and traveling around the planets, but it didn't work out for me.
Oh, that's pretty easy to do. I just wasn't that successful with psilocybin vaporizing.
Right. Cosmic radiation pressure and spore development is no problem. Just turn into one, cruise around the planet.
It's not thermally stable. It's a salt. It's going to thermally eliminate and not give you.
Hey, I'm back. There he is. It's that pesky dead battery. The cord got unplugged, and then
we thought it was the Illuminati not wanting you to give out the secrets of the air trapping.
Yep.
You come back. He's just
glass curtain.
You come back. He's just got a finished
piece. At a time.
Here it is. Here's the piece.
Okay, so I have at this point it's a sealed tube, and I've got air hooked up to it, and I'm going to form it into the outer cup of what's going to be a cup inside of a cup. Well, actually, a bubble stuffed in a cup. So I'm heating it, and this is going to make the top layer of the pattern, the one you see first.
Right.
And the bubbles will be trapped on the inside of this layer, between the inner layer and the outer layer.
So you're basically busting out a Raticello right now, but then you're going to like air trap it.
Well, the air trap happens at the same time.
Wow. Crazy.
It's the texture of this bubble I'm working on. It's ribbed. If you could touch it, it wouldn't be smooth. It'd be like rah, 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 rah.
Right.
So is it ribbed for her pleasure or yours?
It's ribbed for everyone's pleasure.
Nice. See, that's inclusive, dude. That's inclusive. That's what I like to see. And I will say this, Todd chuckled as well, so he did approve.
So here we are. I got quite a bit of twist in it that time. Well, you guys are a great group. This twist is going really well.
We're loving it.
Come on, baby.
Todd laughed if he doesn't have his camera on, Marcus.
Oh, I saw the left corner of his mouth just go up slightly, and he tilted his head, and it was approval. Trust me.
No, I do have my camera on, Mark. You know what's weird is it's been going black on me. That's why I've actually restarted my browser number of times. And
I can see you.
I think Google changed the platform because some of the apps we were using stopped on the 27th, and it's acting different. And a few of you have also said that you had black screen, but I have too.
Interesting.
So I think something's weird.
How you doing?
Bad. Day in paradise.
I'm on Half Church right now.
Nice.
Hey, so are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that post that was on Facebook, like Marcel on Hash Church. I was like, what? Is this live?
Dude,
Yeah.
You're live. We're hearing you right now.
Fucking rad.
You are on. Does Etienne have a son named Tyler Keene?
I have no children, and I'm not going to have any children. Sorry.
Well, you don't have a uterus, so, I mean, come on. How the hell are you going to have children?
None that you know about.
Right.
Oh,
Although
no.
there is a village in northern Thailand that...
Yeah.
Just joshing. Just joshing. Oh, yeah. Well, busting it out. Look at that shit. That's just insane. I've always been blown away by it. I have to admit, like what you melted this together. What the fuck do you mean? I don't get
It's
it.
alchemy and art.
Yeah. Even the first time I went to the Ruhr factory and I was with Hops and Dizzle and we were sitting there watching them put a Ruhr bong together, like a base and a tube, both with like red hot ends that were open, and they just pushed them together and melted them together, and then the lathe spun it and just made it perfect. I was like, that is so cool. Like, that is magic. It's fucking magic. You're basically practicing magic. What magic wizardry are thee doing?
Go to a glass factory where they make chemical glass and watch those guys at work, because those are some real true masters. Watching them put together a Krugel piece of glass or something amazing like that is a real mind-boggling scenario to watch, especially the Japanese guys.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I went to the Herbert Arnold, I guess, main spot in just outside of Frankenthal, Germany. I was with Hops and Dizzle, and we went to this Herbert Arnold, they make these pretty killer torches, but they also make like the most unbelievable shit like that you can ever possibly imagine. I had no idea. My brain was opened by visiting this facility. It was like hydraulic arms that just like the craziest, biggest, like German engineered shit you could imagine. Crazy next level shit. And huge, like the size of football field after football field, indoors, building after building. It was, those guys were in there like heaven. There was glass blowing tools that were like a half a block long, like just all these high-end crazy things to grab and to manipulate molten glass with. It was pretty incredible. Dizzle had a Scott Deppie belt buckle on that they wanted at Herbert Arnold. They wanted to get it. They wanted to buy it from him and like keep it in their little mini museum because they couldn't believe the work. So hey,
I was on the plane coming back from Southern California, and this drunk guy gets on with me in San Francisco, and he's really plastered, but he's able to talk a little bit, and he pulls off his belt and shows me his belt buckle, and he's wearing a bear belt buckle.
Oh yeah, one of the Owsley buckles.
One of the Owsley buckles, and
the smiling moon or the steal your face.
It was the one that's punched out from the back forward.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see very well on the plane because the seats these days in the planes are far smaller than I remember them being in 1990. But it was an odd coincidence to sit next to somebody on the plane who was wearing a belt buckle by Bear anymore.
Right?
You should have grabbed it while he was sleeping.
Yeah, I'll show you the classic. This is just the classic. I have a couple of friends that have this one. I've never seen this one. This one's pretty fancy. And then there was also the moon. My friend's wife had the moon one. Never seen the bear one. This one.
He tried to sell me a steal your face one at a dead show one time, and I was like, no thanks. I'm here for the drugs only.
Right?
But he was a nice guy. We were gathering signatures for it, and I got to talk to Bear, and he was as nice and as cordial. And as he started talking and showing me stuff, I realized who he was. But when he first came up, I thought he was just some old hippie.
Right. Well, he is, but he's also a bear.
Right. He comes off that way, but he is the man. And then he proceeded to tell me about his 3 pharmaceutical companies in Australia producing acid. I'm like,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where he ended up living out the rest of his life. That's when I started talking to Bear. He was living in Australia, and he was trying to convince me that bubble bags were cool, but what was really cool was to soak your plant matter in animal fat and make green butter. And I was just like, listen, bro, you know about acid, but you do not know about what you talk about right now.
Well, there's nothing wrong with using 99.9% dry sift with a little bit of clarified butter.
Oh yeah, I always prefer to make my extracts, whatever, if I'm using coconut oil or whatever, butter. I don't use butter, but if I was, I would always choose to extract the resin some way. like to just get the resin and work with that. Cause I've never been a fan of green cannabis tasting edibles. I thought the edible industry really took a step forward when it started using, pure cannabinoid products.
Well, I'll tell you a very interesting way, Marcus, is if you want to add whatever herb it is that you want to add to your extract, or let us just say, for instance, you wanted to make a liver detox extract. You add those herbs in at the same time and extract it all at once. You get this amazing mix that you can't even mix it that good with ultrasound. And so that's a very good way to make that sort of thing if you're into it. A friend of mine made some. He was a menthol cigarette smoker and couldn't get away from the menthol. So anyway, he ended up blasting some oil along with a few mint leaves, and he was a very happy puppy after that, although I wouldn't have it.
Looks like it's a Marcel bong rip.
I was gonna say we should join him in a bong rip.
Well, should we just do a bong rip then? Like
Bong rip.
Lead by example.
Bong rip. Okay. Bong rip.
Bong rip.
Okay.
Is there ever an inappropriate time to do a bong rip?
On Hash Church, I don't think so. There's definitely been some inappropriate times while like I've been having private conversations with D420K and laughing, and like people have been telling heart-wrenching stories simultaneously. That was inappropriate and not good timing. But I think for the bong rip, as long as it's like you're not doing it into your mic and you're just kind of like on the side, just there's never an inappropriate time to do.
Maybe sitting on the
Well,
shitter.
if you're having projectile vomit, it's kind of hard.
Well, the thing.
I'm enjoying some nicely fresh Eddie Kush, and it's tasty.
I'm cleaning my banger because I'm OCD and I don't want my shit all chazzed.
No chaz banger there.
Don't you chaz?
I chaz my
Hey,
bangers
don't
way
chaz
too
my
much.
banger. Johnny's a banger chazzer.
We were talking about I was talking with Jesse Hippo and Helena Lethal Glass about that, and about how some of these quartz bangers, the cheaper ones, they chaz up quickly. And I've been cleaning it frantically and keeping it so nice. And you know what? After like a month of hitting the thing 25 times a day and cleaning it with the sauce that you gave me there, Mark, or I got from somebody else with the same stuff, the little soapy water stuff. And you know what? It just kind of started chazzing on
it's the temperature. It's the temperature that you're hitting at. If you're hitting it too hot and the stuff you're hitting is burning.
No, it always pools now.
Well, pool will never chaz. It won't chaz from pooling, but once you burn it on there and then burn that off, that's generally when you get that white. That's what a chaz is.
That's what a chaz is.
And I've definitely seen you chaz bowls.
I chaz bowls. I'm a little like, I'm a
You
little
like
kinda,
a hot hit.
I just like I'm having a problem with it now. I'm like right away. I was like, it's in lane. I was like, I chaz my bowl already.
Is the material basilicite glass or is it quartz? What is it that's getting chazzed?
Glass,
It's the quartz bangers. Yeah, it's the quartz. I think they're the cheaper ones. I mean, my Puke and B1 lasted probably for like a year, but the cheap one I bought for $50 lasted
I've
for a
got
month.
an electric nail around mine, and it's been on for 2 years, and it's definitely not chazzed.
That's me too, man. I bought an electric nail 2 weeks ago, and I haven't shut it off either.
My
The
cat
email's
likes-
on solid.
my
It hasn't been
cat likes
turned off
to
in like a
use it
year.
at night when I'm sleeping.
That's why I
That's
don't move
awesome.
it to the office anymore. It just sits on the.
I've also managed to burn my arm with a smiley face shape on it 3 times since I bought it. I keep reaching over it and forgetting that I leave it on constantly in case
Yeah, well, it's
I want to
hard
hit.
You did that with a
It's hard for
sublimator a lot
dogs
in the
to learn
beginning.
new tricks.
New tricks? That's all I heard about that. Something about a sublimator and new tricks.
Oh, I burn myself a lot with the sublimator. That's how you know.
I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one.
No, you're not the only one.
You're not the only one. I think everybody here has been burned by some type of mechanism used for heating there.
You play with
Electric
fire,
body.
you're gonna get
And if
burned.
you haven't, you're lying.
How about just a set of hot knives?
Oh, I used to have the big hot knife mark on the chin in like grade like 8 and 9. Go to school. But
Yell over Bubbleman.
John, I want to know how many you gave out.
oh, I seriously, I think if I dig hard enough, I'll probably still find my own hot knives from like when I was 16 years old, wrapped with the tape. And it was,
Oh yeah, I have burnt my nose with hot knives more than once.
Yeah, I burnt myself too. My mom was so mad at me about her. She was just like, what?
Damn.
I know, but that perfect knife mark across your chin just basically tells everybody at school for like a week and a half, 2 weeks that you're hitting the knives in the morning.
And
Good
how
old
many
black hash.
you remember when you smoked a joint, the burning seed would fall out and burn your t-shirt?
I hated that.
This was when Simsamia was unknown.
And it was usually a really cool shirt.
And the
That's
pop-
usually how my first early girlfriends knew I was actually smoking pot, was the number of burnt holes in my shirts.
That's hash, not pot. Hash
No, it was
burns
pot
shirts.
because it had seeds in it.
Really, the seeds burned your shirt like that? That's bad.
Well, they would
Well,
catch on fire, and I rolled big
Ash
joints.
fall. Exactly. When the ash falls with the hot seed in it, or hash, either one.
Open terp jar makes a great carb cap on the banger. Really good. Little clementine in that rip.
Oh, my darling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my darling.
Yep. Cleans the banger. Well, I guess Salome's event is happening here soon. In the next week or so, we'll be at the University of British Columbia for the Cannabis and Hemp Conference that Salome is putting on.
And that I'm headed to Lyft, so I can't wait to see your videos on the little event there at UBC because great speakers. So I'm missing it, but of course, I'll be another event and with other industry people doing the same thing, education.
It's too bad these guys don't get together and kind of pick and choose the dates on the calendar that can work out the best for everyone, i.e., not separate out the different groups of people in the industry, but try to get as many as possible.
They're overlapping too much now, and it's just now it's becoming like it's just getting too much.
I remember when it started in Europe, it happened in Germany, it happened in Switzerland. Different groups just that used to do the events, break off, see things differently, do their own event, like within the same week. Which is like, come on, guys, give us a break. Can't afford double the booths just because you guys don't get along anymore. That's not fair.
I wouldn't mind seeing a monthly cup type celebration up here once a month where everybody shows up, dabs, does a little vending, talks, pass around information, teach each other stuff. I mean, we got finished filming the definitive video on how to make temple balls without water. And we're going to be publishing that soon. And I did it in Southern Cal because it was there was infrastructure there and I could get it all done. But I'd like to see that kind of thing, like a big meet where everybody just shows their latest stuff and so forth once a month. What's wrong with that? I mean, alcoholics go to the bar every friggin' night. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, those go on weekly all around the Bay and all around the country. People are actually organizing those types of gatherings because they've seen it as a need in the community. People are looking for these types of hashes or how to make and how to deal with. So I know in the Bay Area, there's ones you just have to find the Instagrams and the email lists, and there's gatherings every week where there's vendors selling, and you can purchase as well as sit down and dab, as well as they have dab samples out there. So that's been going on for a while.
It's just not quite as busy as cups, John, because for whatever reason, people are very stoked on accolades and they will go to cups if they can win cups. Whereas if it's just about getting together and dabbing and hanging out and sharing information, it always seems to be a smaller group. than say that of the larger, like a High Times Cannabis Cup that's going to, bring a big chunk of people, or a chalice for that matter. And that's generally when there's a competition involved. People have a lot more desire to be involved when there's that potential of winning something for their brand or for themselves.
Well, once a month's not too often to have that kind of stuff. I mean, gee whiz.
Well, I think High Times was doing it, and it faltered. I think it didn't work out for them to do it that often. I think that they were.
It costs a lot of money for those companies. Those booth fees cost a lot. When you have employees out there at those shows giving away free samples, they're not back at your production facility making hash. So it is, I mean, there's a big expense to it. Plus,
I'm not talking about a big giant show. I'm just talking about, like, for instance, in the Santa Rosa area, a monthly get together of hash people and stuff where everybody could look at each other's stuff and discuss and talk. Not a big show where there's awards and
create it. It's easy. You got a vision. You're the one that sees what you want. Just make it happen. It's like probably not that complex to rent a space.
I would like to comment on what you're talking about.
A lot. At the Sohi Gallery, I know that they have gatherings. I know that Nicotee and I was there for one with Nicotee and Rye and Kind Bill, and I know Kind Bill's had that space there. So I think that they have been having sort of informal, not cups or not competitions, but gatherings where various hash makers from the Denver community gather and bring their latest and greatest. Yeah.
I was going to say,
that's
John,
happening.
The culture is the new commodity. That what you're going to see now that we have legality here and we have rights is people gathering and not being afraid to gather with fear of arrest or their shit getting stolen or their pipes being broken or any of that. We're starting to see the culture kind of getting brave and coming together. And I think we're only going to see more and more of that, especially this year in California. And I hopefully more, as people gain more confidence through things like Proposition 64 passing and them feeling like they have a rock to stand on.
Well, one thing that 64 might bring is it might bring the ability for these so-called farmers markets to start appearing, where we could then have a lot of people contributing to the potential and available stuff, and the price of flowers could go down and the price of concentrates could go down and everybody could find it within their reach. Because flowers are great, don't get me wrong, man. I love flowers, but combustion I'm not so fond of. And I having gotten myself a nail and it tends gift of a dabbing pipe has been a qualitative change in my life, even just with the oil. Before, the way I used to smoke it was to smear a huge gob of it on my joint, and I don't do that anymore, and my lungs are thanking me and giving me a pat on the back because I slowed down doing that. So I think
now that we have 64 and we have actual legal rights to grow and to possess cannabis, it changes it. And now we can have, I believe, we will be able to have farmers markets, and it'll be hard to stop us because what we're doing is illegal and we're not getting away with something. We're not using medical as an excuse of bending the law. And now they have to put up with that. We have as much rights as a person with a pack of cigarettes or, a 6-pack of beer on their way home or what have you. I mean, and that's something we all have to really consider right now. We're not coming from, the undercard now. We're coming from the equal card, and we should demand equal rights, and we should want to do these things that you're mentioning, John, because that's really what's going to change things. I mean, you want to see the price drop, and you want to see it taken away from the retailers who have up until now been allowed to do something the producers have been punished for. I mean, that's fucked up because, they're not going to put the guys at the pot clubs into the courts, but they're going to put the producers of the products in the pot clubs into the courts. And that has been so uneven and unfair. And now it will be nice to see the advantage move to the producer who actually is the one who makes the products, instead of some ne'er-do-well in a suit retailing the shit and marking it up 300 or 400 or 500%.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The middleman is doing the thing that all middlemen usually do, which is taking his half out of the middle. And I hate it on the highway and I hate it in business because those guys seem to think, or they seem to feel like they're empowered to take the most profit out of anybody. They do
Right.
over the farmers, they do over the retailers, they do over everybody. They're just sitting back collecting, and the rest of us are paying, and there's no real reason to.
Well, you know what's funny is watching all these pot club owners fucking collecting cannabis cups, for instance, based on product grown and processed by other people. And it's like, what are you, a good shopper? You get an award for being the guy that saw the product first and bought it right away? I mean, it's that stupid, in my opinion. And
Truly,
I think that times will change.
The Southern California Cup, as I said, I had to have somebody show me around to find flowers that were for sale at it. There was like nobody really selling flowers there. Everybody had concentrates. And so,
well, the concentrates all come from flowers. So flowers are the source of the happiness.
I understand that, but the concentrate makers were there representing them. And
you can't see him on here, right? You won't be able to watch it live. So you can watch it live, but it's not coming up on this side.
Hey, I just wanted to jump on and say, you guys, that the point of the function of the middlemen or the distributors, you know, it's an interesting question to bring up, because there really is, I feel that there's a function. So some people that distribute put out false information to sell their products, which does a disservice to the industry. But there's a lot of distributors out there that put out really good information and turn people on to what to look for and stuff. And I feel that that's something that those do perform as a segment of our industry.
Well, but you got to look on that point. You've got to do your own due diligence. I mean, if you give up the power to do your own due diligence, you deserve to pay the extra money to the middleman, in my opinion, because I look into everything before I buy it. If I buy something and it doesn't work, I'm back so fast they think that I was beamed in by a Star Trek ship.
Right.
But, you know, it's changing, John. You know what? You know, we've all been so grateful that there's been these, you know, pot shops opening up so that we have access to this stuff. And it's been wonderful at the same time, because you know, the access and the diversity has caused the industry itself to actually grow, because now you have more competition and people have had to be innovative in the face of not selling their product. So it's been a really good thing. I mean, but it's been hard for me as someone who grew up growing, kind of to see the growers get kicked to the curb and the quality of products go down and down, because it became, for a while in California, a race to the bottom. Because, you know, you could put a lot of love and effort into some product and you bring it to a club and all they do is berate it, knock it down, and then they sell it for more than we saw the retail prices during fucking full-on drug war. Back when weed was 40 bucks, I mean 50 bucks an eighth and 400 an ounce, it's still friggin' 55 bucks an eighth. It's still over 400 an ounce, and it's friggin' legal for 20 years now. There's no reason for the high prices. It's just that these middlemen are getting fucking rich, and it's bullshit. I mean, you've seen the price of pot drop from $4,800 a pound to under $2,000 a pound, yet the retail price of $6,400 a pound has not fucking moved.
Yeah, that's because of the middleman. That's exactly who you can point that finger at. It happens that way every time, though. I mean, it happens across all financial systems and across all trade systems. It's a nonstop thing.
It's more in the absence of, because that's where it was created. If there was regulation, if there was things, which is actually coming down the pike here in California, because the middleman had its place and had its time and had its need, because, you know, we needed people to shake the trees and go find the cannabis that was out there. And over time, it's become to the point where, you know, all these municipalities, at least here in California, have actually gone along with that and allowed that change to take place. But at the same
the middleman,
there's no doubt, with the new regulations that are coming down the pike, as Todd is stating, the middleman is going to become less and less, and that's, you know, good and bad. It's unfortunate because they perform a service which is beneficial and definitely has been needed in the past. But the past is becoming the past. And
the reason there was needed, Ken, was because everybody was hiding out. Nobody wanted to go in and show their face about anything. So the middlemen knew where to get it. It was like the miracle ounce back when Dennis Perone first started at $2.15. You could have an ounce, but there was no place to buy it. That's what the middlemen were about, and we
Can
don't
I just say
really.
this, John? Mark my word. With the new economy and direct-to-consumer marketing, you're going to see a change in the scope of how things are sold. You're going to see stuff go from farm to consumer and skip all that bullshit because of things like Amazon and direct online sales. And as soon as the cannabis industry gets banking, and people that make hash and make grass don't have to skip around. They can go right on their website, put their stuff up, accept banking payments, and skip all that bullshit. You're going to watch the paradigm change, and change a lot.
It's already happening, Todd. You can go on and join Club M, which is a subscription. You pay for the subscription online, and monthly they deliver a box of pot, concentrates, edibles, whatever you want. And it's a very successful. They do it by courier. You order it one day, and the next day it shows up on your doorstep. And
it's cool. It's just another middleman, though, John. You're going to be able to get direct from Jack Daniels, is what I mean, pretty soon. And Jack Daniels is going to not have to worry about getting busted because they're selling direct to consumer. And I would tell you this: there'll be a day when Amazon has cannabis products on it that are psychoactive. It will just be part of society.
It's absolutely. You can already buy ayahuasca ingredients on Amazon. You can already buy mushroom growing kits and stuff like that. You can already buy spores depending on what state you're in. If you're in the right state, you can buy psilocybin spores right off Amazon right now in a needle full of it.
Does Amazon sell alcoholic beverages? I've never looked, so I don't know.
No, they don't. That's one thing they don't delve in. They don't do alcoholic beverages. And I'm not a drinker. I just happen to know because once in a great while, I like a Tackenbeeren Ausschlese, a very, very sweet German or Northern Italian wine, which is a dessert wine on ice cream. But no, they don't sell it.
Can I ask a dumb question? Can you buy liquor products on Amazon.com and stuff like that? I've never tried.
No, you can't buy liquor on Amazon.
Well, Jody Emery was posting recently the hypocrisy of not being allowed to have edibles in Canada and then going to the grocery store and seeing this rum infused Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And she was just like, so why is it this double standard for, what about the children? What about the children? But you're going to put alcohol into ice cream and chocolate candies and stuff.
In Europe, they make chocolate candies like Godiva and stuff with alcohol inside the filling of the chocolates. But in America, they make the exact same chocolates, but without the alcohol.
Yeah, but in Europe, they start their children drinking wine and alcohol much earlier than it's thought of in the United States.
Yeah, both of my kids are chronic alcoholics pretty much from birth.
I love it. It's funny you say that, John. When I lived in Amsterdam, you saw much more responsible alcohol use in European adolescents and 20-somethings than I ever did in America.
Unless there was World Cup soccer and Scotland was in town.
The kids don't binge because they're allowed to drink at 16.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Except when I was there and the World Cup soccer, Scotland was in town and they drank all the beer at the Albertheims, like all of them in Amsterdam, like there was none left. They were walking around with boxes of wine the next day. And they were quite well in the sense that they didn't cause problems. They didn't get into fights. Their team lost, and it was even written about in the paper that it was quite unreal that no fights.
Well, they don't do it like in England and
that's
Germany.
Serious alcohol consumption.
In England, when there's a game like that and they lose, all bloody hell breaks loose because you got every different kind of persuasion there, and same in Germany. But in Holland, they're always more.
No, but the Dutch sometimes fight amongst themselves at their own football games. So, I was in general, what you're saying is true, but it's not always reality.
I was gonna say, except with the exception of soccer matches, the Dutch are very much more relaxed.
Well, you just got to keep the hooligans out of it. Let everyone go for the enjoyment. And it's all good.
How are you going to keep the hooligans out? That's like saying you're going to keep all the pot smokers out. That's never going to happen.
Well, I can help because I copyrighted the name hooligan. So,
Oh, how they were doing it was they were taking their passports during games, John. So if you got caught causing problems at a game and got like a hooligan charge or whatever it is, you're on a list. You get your passport taken away. You can't travel.
Absolutely true.
So that is how you do it, John. Not all of them, but a great amount. And you wouldn't be surprised that it's only a small percentage of people that seem to start riots at all these different events.
They've got video cameras capturing everybody in the audience.
Everything.
They know who the hell they are. They find them.
Clearly, they should be using dabbing booths at soccer matches instead of alcohol.
Well, maybe both. I can't imagine they'd ever be happy with no alcohol at the soccer. I mean, I don't drink it, but I would not try to take it away from soccer fans. That's for sure. That's not.
I didn't see one drunken person at either of the cups that I've been to.
That's awesome. That's the way to do it. Right.
I'm thinking drunks go to different concerts than stoners.
Yeah, sometimes we collide. You know, like if it's like a Pink Floyd concert, there's going to be some drunks there. I can assure you, especially in the Bible Belt of Manitoba, like Winnipeg, where I saw them in '94 for the Division Bell.
That's because Floyd himself is an alkie.
Floyd himself?
Yeah, what's his name? The head.
Well, I mean, Pink Floyd's a unique band in the sense you had the once head Sid Barrett, and then you had the dual head Gilmour and Roger Waters. David Gilmour and Roger Waters. They were kind of like. Sure, Roger Waters did like the huge Wall production and created his own thing, but David Gilmour is like an anomaly in his own right. And I don't think that there was a head of Pink Floyd personally.
Well, they became something special after they discovered reverb and full circle echo tapes. They got way off into that, and a lot of people were very much into the music they were producing around that time.
Well, I think people that liked the Grateful Dead were quite pleased with Pink Floyd.
Really? I didn't see the mix myself. Grateful Dead people only like Grateful Dead and Fish.
Not true at all. Not true at all. But I like the general statement.
Yeah, that's not true.
Oh, see, the chemist. This guy's got a PhD, and he basically said it's not true. So,
look, my wife at the time, Annie, drew the Grateful Dead skull and dreadlocks picture. We were right at their house. We knew all those people. It was a whole scenario going on back then. But I never was into Jerry's music. And so I didn't turn into a Grateful Dead freak. I went to one Grateful Dead concert, and I was crippled by the time I went away because the whole night everybody spent jumping up and down because everybody was really high, for one thing. But next day I could hardly walk, and I thought I didn't really have that great of a time there. So I didn't turn into a Grateful Dead freak. Everybody to his own. I had different concerts that I enjoyed going to.
I loved concerts.
What was your favorite musicians at that time in the 60s or 70s or 80s, whenever? What was the best?
Actually, in the late 60s and early 70s, I was really watching and going to and seeing as often as I could Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, well, it's hard to complain about his music because he was probably my favorite guitarist also.
Jimmy. He's a lot of people's favorite guitarists.
Still one of mine. If I
never did go to the concert because they invited us to go to the concert after she drew that skull and dreadlocks picture. And they asked us if we wanted to go to the backstage concert. And that's when I divulged the secret that I wasn't a Jerry fan. And he was pretty excited about that. He was, I think, at that point in time, sick and tired of all the yes people that were around him. And there was a lot of yes people who were trying to protect him from anybody else saying anything else to him except for through them. And he found it amusing that I just didn't give a shit. I wasn't into the music. And Annie was sitting there drawing this picture on the back of Grateful Dead stationery. And there was so many trips going on at that particular point in time. I think he was just relieved to run into somebody who wasn't a hero worshiper.
Indeed. Well, what do we got going on, guys? Everyone's just chilling. Marcel's not blowing glass anymore, or what happened to him? No.
I think he stepped out. The torch is still on, which means he's glass blowing. He's just
There he is. There he is.
Hey guys, they just brought me my breakfast. I actually did finish that air trap a few minutes ago, but it came out kind of not very good. The air trap went poorly for some reason or another. It's pretty subtle. But I'm going to do another one here in another 20. Are you guys going to keep going on the Hash Church session for another half hour, or what's your deal?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. See how the conversation takes us. We were only a couple hours in, so I can see us busting out
we've all pretty much agreed to stay on church until you create a masterpiece.
That's right. It's one of those 24-hour. It's a 24-hour masterpiece-a-thon.
Oh shit! Well, I wiped out on the first one. Here, I'll show you.
Stop fucking around, dude. Stop fucking around.
I need a carb cap, by the way. If you ever get this, yeah. If you ever get this done.
Huh? So this is what I did. And showing up here, but not so much over here.
Dude, have I almost known you for 20 years, Marcel?
Yeah, and I've been doing this technique for over half of that time.
Damn. I was just thinking of that.
Fuck it up. That's how hard it is.
Wow. Well, it looks impossible, so I get that it's hard. Every time I look at it, there's something about it that's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think that what happened is I just barely over twisted the first section that I did. I just maybe like 2 or 3 hours too much. So the air trap just couldn't like lodge in. I tried to compensate by under twisting the other one. And that wasn't really a very good thing either. It kind of moved the air when I retwisted it.
Interesting.
And how long have you been doing this now?
This technique or glass blowing?
Twisting it too much or too little?
I've been doing this. I've been doing this technique for 10 years and glass blowing for a little over 20.
So this is definitely not easy to get onto if you're still screwing it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's an athletic thing. Everything has to go just right, like a kickflip on a skateboard. So this is just the first one of the day. First thing I touched today was this. So,
I think that's a little harder than a kickflip on a skateboard.
I mean, it's on par, I would say. There's a little bit of like practice that goes into that. Getting to being able to do a skateboard kickflip and land it consistently is a lot of practice.
It is. Maybe a 360 kickflip. How about that?
Maybe a 360, whatever. I just mean it's like kind of athletic where you can have all the skills and the experience, and if you don't put it all together in the moment that it has to happen, then you don't get the result.
Makes sense.
So the one that you made already, do you have a use for it, or is it kaput?
Well, I mean, I can pick through it and get little pieces that are all right. Or I'll do a tumbler real quick to finish something right here on church or whatever, so you guys could see a finished object. It's either that or start over again to get a good air trap.
Wow.
So maybe I'll do that. I want to show you guys the air trap. Next time I'll break into your conversation when I get to the point, and so you can all like watch it happen together.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right.
That sounds good. Yeah, Bingo Lombardi agrees. He says a kickflip is way easier. That's why we made it a 360 kickflip. But I get what he was saying, you know, the fact that it's something that takes a while to learn, and no matter how long you've been doing it for, if you don't put it all together perfectly, you end up not landing that kickflip. I got the metaphor.
Yeah.
Mike Hendricks, B-Man, I missed the hitting of the ham gravity bong. Are you going to hit it again? Oh, I'll be hitting it again. Fear not.
Yeah.
The ham gravity bong will be hit. I will hit it like it owes me money. And not just owes me money, but like it's owed me money for a really long time, and I just caught it buying expensive shit at the electronics store. That's how I'm going to hit it. It's going to be a good one, I'll tell you. Let me tell you. That's how I'm going to hit it.
Such shopping violence.
I honestly believe that you won't be able to hit it as good as you can describe.
Right. Well, I can try. I can try. Thing's no joke, man. They should call it the Humbler, or the Destroyer of Walking, or the Destroyer of Egos. This thing will like humble you out.
So going back to where IACM had some interesting stuff, since we have not much discussion on, but this could bring up some discussion points here. Cannabis use is associated with lower prevalence of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, according to a large study. Considering the amount of alcohols in a population-based controlled study with 5 million patients, the 2014 Healthcare Cost and Utilization Project, cannabis use was associated with a significantly reduced prevalence in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This is a result of research by scientists, institutes across the United States and Canada.
5 million people.
That's quite a range.
That's a swath.
The medical use of cannabis may reduce Medicaid costs in the U.S. by up to $1 billion. There was an actual data broken down for prescription use and how prescriptions are down for people. This is done by the researchers at the University of Georgia in Athens. Tested the association between medical cannabis laws and the average number of prescriptions filled for Medicaid beneficiaries, and found that the use of prescription drugs was lower in states with medical cannabis laws than in states without such laws in 5 of the states. So that's a significant also representation. In states with medical cannabis laws, illegal use of cannabis is higher than in states without these laws in the United States. So that means people are still getting busted, and those people are those police institutions are still making and creating patches for Skunk Man to go collect.
Right?
Cool.
Hey, Skunk Man, by the way, have you gotten any interesting or new patches lately?
Yeah, I got, I think, another 100 or so.
Feel free to show us them anytime. I get a giggle out of them every time I see them. A new report on the World Health Organization on the health effects of cannabis use came out. A new report that the health and social effects of cannabis or non-medical cannabis use was put out. This one, I think everybody will be surprised or not surprised. Cannabis increases the reaction of erotic stimuli. It took researchers to actually do this. It apparently you can get turned on more when you smoke pot. News at 11. Cannabinoids could also help infertile women. Research with cells in mice show that the activation of the CB1 receptor enhances the maturation of immature egg cells. So infertile women may be looking toward cannabinoids or cannabinoid research. That's a whole type of therapy that needs to be opened up. Cannabis extract reduces seizures in patients with the Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, which is a large third clinical trial on CB extract Epidiolex by CW. It significantly reduced the frequency of seizures, so that's significant.
Absolutely.
It looks like we're out of order.
Let's see. Cannabinoid together with a standard anti-epileptic drug improved epilepsy outcome. A study with mice with epilepsy, the combination of the synthetic cannabinoid arachidinol number 2 chloroethyl ACEA it's called, and vaporic acid improved treatment outcome. In addition to a combination of cannabinoid and vaporic acid stimulated the creation of new nerve cells.
It's a derivative of anandamide, that compound.
Is it? Okay. Fascinating.
Our old friend anandamide.
And the endocannabinoid system acts as a regulator of immune homeostasis in the gut. I think you were talking about that recently, Dr. Mark.
That's one of Natasha's areas of expertise.
And there was a fatal allergic reaction to cannabis. Researchers reported a fatal allergic reaction in a 33-year-old woman who had injected a cannabis solution into her veins in Australia.
Oh, well, Jesus Christ.
Just clarifying, just reading you the study, folks. Just yeah. Don't inject cannabis.
She probably put an air bubble in her vein is what she did. The air bubble hit her heart.
It could have been the contamination. There's all kinds of issues with anything injected. That's bad. Don't inject.
Those are the bad kind of air trappings. We're just today we're focused on positive air trappings.
Yes,
which is the air trapping work that Marcel will be doing.
Did you see the article on microdosing?
With LSD or psilocybin?
No, they're talking about use of cannabis and microdosing, saying it was the best way to use it a little bit constantly.
Yeah, Tony's been big on the microdosing thing. That's what prana is, like 1 milligram drop, sublingual drop. So they've been definitely pretty promoting that method of,
Lastly, there's these two things that are both connected here. Both CBD and CBDA reduce anxiety. And then right below that is another study that shows CBD may be helpful in the treatment of anxiety in low doses. So there you go. There's some interesting science going out there, and for you future researchers out there, there's some other things you can tally onto and research further. So go for it.
Some medical use for that Schedule 1 listing that we have cannabis at, right?
Indeed. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. Back to the work.
I think there is a lot to be said for microdosing.
All right, here we go.
Microphone off.
Opening the handle and getting going. You guys want a commentary from me? I can give it a whirl.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. You're the star of the show right now.
Done this before, yeah. Throw me on the screen and
we'll go back to talking about microdosing. We won't forget because
I like talking about microdosing too, though. You know.
Well, I'll put it on your camera, and Todd can talk about what he was going to say about microdosing, and then we'll just go into the conversation from there.
Yeah, man, awesome.
Whoa! All I was going to say is that I felt like I used to call it microdosing when I was in prison, because it was only little bits all the time. Yeah, and I just think it is a really good way to do it. I mean, I think cannabis maintains a sense of equalness or balance in our bodies. I think a lot of people that use cannabis a lot would say that. You know, it doesn't get you high as much as it just makes you feel right. And I think that's something microdosing can do.
Well, it's activating you. We all have endocannabinoid systems. So by just microdosing, you're just triggering and keeping your, you would think, or it would lead me to believe to the idea, doctor, maybe you could clarify, but it would lead, since you're stimulating your endocannabinoid system, you're just activating your natural healthy body mechanisms so that you can carry on.
Well, and it's also being stored in your fat and your adipose tissue. So, you know, your body is actually designed to hold on to these molecules and to keep them in your body as long as they possibly can, since they have such therapeutic importance to us.
And
I mean, how is that not like right there? Exactly
When
like
you
the main
take a big
argument.
dose and it kind of lingers for a long time, you're basically like microdosing afterwards. I mean, I kind of feel that way. I haven't spent a lot of time microdosing, but
Megadosing.
spent a good amount of time coming down.
I think we all practice megadosing is what we do. Pretty
so
much.
good.
But
Spent a good amount of time coming down.
megadosing works too.
Yeah, mega dosing. Well, this is what we're talking about. As I get older, I appreciate the quiver. You know, the many options that I want to choose from without being pigeonholed into, if I choose one of them, that's what I am. That defines me. That's who I am. That's everything I support. It's like, no, as you get older, you lose that sort of mentality. And it's like, guess what? I can walk in many shoes. I can go to many different environments and enjoy many different things and listen to many different musics. Don't have to pigeonhole myself into one singular thing.
Does that mean that Hash Church is going to change into a geriatric channel someday?
Well, Hash Church will do what it does. It'll play itself out or grow in, evolve into something. We'll see what it happens. You know, like I see Hash Church now as something that wants to evolve into a better version of itself. You know, with something like with Marcel coming on today, I almost forgot I sent him the link. And then we were in the middle of, you know, we could bring up the bong conversation. And then all of a sudden he's blowing glass. These are the things that I can't personally plan. I just don't have the time to call that many people constantly and be like, hey, are you going to be able to do this tomorrow? Can we set this up? Can you be here from this time to that time? So when it just happens organically, I appreciate it. But I do love the idea of it moving to a place where there was a schedule and people could look in advance and see, oh, I want to see DJ Short on Thursday and I want to see the Glass Talk on Friday. Actually, I'm watching the whole week because I also want to see the guest Todd's bringing on Monday and the guy that, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the dream, obviously. But at this point, it's enough to just be thankful for everyone just showing up and spending their time here.
So it's going to be the Bubbleman Network morning news, afternoon news, and evening dab news.
I think it's going to be the I'm coming down from a really big dose show. That's what it'll be. If you're coming down from a really big, serious macro or micro dose or monster dose, then come on down and watch whatever this show is about to become. Now, I don't know, you know, Hash Church has been
about megadosing.
What's that?
Well, you know, that's another thing that I think, because it's almost has a similar, because when you megadose, everybody I know that megadoses complains that they stop getting high. And I just wonder if that's nature's way of allowing us to flood our body with these basically healthy, helpful cannabinoids without getting in the way of us being freaking incapable of doing anything else.
So you mean we'll actually know that we've got enough in us when we can't feel it anymore?
But that, you know, sounds fake, John, but you know what, like, yeah, like LV Musica being an example, the little wonderful old lady that gets medical cannabis from the United States government, gets half a pound a month, 300 joints, smokes them like she's a chimney. And she is, you know, never really stoned, but it maintains her medical condition, even though it's crappy weed that's really old. That said, I use it. I flood myself with it. I've got a spinal fusion, and if I don't, the spinal fusion annoys me and takes over my life. So I think there's a lot of people like us that just use it because we want it to get rid of what happens, and we almost overuse it so we don't get high anymore. Maybe that's a subconscious way of us dealing with having to deal with our lives, but also needing the chemicals and the cannabinoids we found in this plant.
I've just never had that happen yet so far. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I do wake up every day and I do get high every day and every night. And I've never ran into the situation where I didn't get high from smoking something yet. And I hope it never happens. And I'm sorry to hear that it's a widespread phenomenon. And bless all you people who didn't get high, and may you again get high.
Well, it's not, you know what though, John, trip on this. It's not a bad thing. I think I'm high on life, and this doesn't distract me from being high on life because I'm getting the help I need from the cannabis without the distraction of, watching the clouds float by and not being able to do much more. So in some ways, I appreciate the fact that it brings me down to this normal space where I can be productive and do the things I love to do, without the distractions of my neck pain or lack of appetite or whatever your particular situation with life happens to be.
Here is a few patches that I just got. So this one is from the State Police of Illinois for medical marijuana.
Where'd you get that one? I want one of those.
For those who don't know, Sam's been collecting all of these enforcement patches against us for a long, long time. I can't believe they have a medical marijuana cop force.
Oh, look at that one, eh? They always look so evil.
Yeah, it looks pretty evil. That's why I like it. The art is outrageous.
What's he got in his hand? A little jar of dabs?
I think it says it's Bubbleman water scent. No, it doesn't say anything. I'm just joshing with you.
Yeesh, that would be a patch I would not want to see.
Cops don't have to do this stupid shit, and they can actually go to work and be, basically proud of what they do instead of chasing people over flowers. That's upside down, Sam.
Whoops. I thought
and they want them. They want them to be intimidating. They want to be, feared. So that's why these are also our.
Yep, these are.
Hey man, you know what, man? When I read the news and you see about kids getting kidnapped and all that shit, I wish those motherfuckers did fear the police. I wish the police were out there chasing the fucking baby rapers and all the crazy motherfuckers that do evil shit instead of chasing people for flowers who are trying to treat themselves with medical conditions. I can't believe they have patches against medical patients.
That's pretty fucked up.
I like the ones that, let you know right away how evil marijuana is.
Vice, Narc, VBPD. Where's that from?
I'd have to look. I think it's an American one. Oh, Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach.
Hi,
Diana.
Czechoslovakia.
Welcome back to home.
France. Yeah, this is French.
Stupéfiant et proximité.
With the lady on.
Ooh, that one's Marseille. That's the south of France.
Ooh la la, yes.
South of France is a pretty sweet spot, though, for going and hanging out on the beach. Monroe County, Pennsylvania. Jesus. The Drug Task Force in Pennsylvania does not fuck around.
Neither does this. Marijuana leads directly to death and machine guns, obviously.
Jefferson and Plaquemines Parish in Louisiana.
So that's your brethren, yeah?
It's from my neck of the woods. I wouldn't call them my brothers.
Unbelievable.
Nice. Well said, Etienne. Well said.
eBay is a scary place, it looks like.
Sam's just got 8,000 of these off camera. It's like Church turned into this 19-hour incredible, we went through a quarter of Sam's collection. It was incredible. Of just patches, his patch collection.
That one was called Upset, and you had each breakdown of each different
Stupéfiant, another France.
I hope legalization puts all of them out of business. I hope they got to wake up and do real jobs instead of chasing plants.
There's one more.
Jesus.
That's scary.
Special operations. That is totally ridiculous.
Oh my God.
And
chasing plants. They would be proud of themselves. How the flower cops.
I went through
flower terrorists. Those are terrorists at that point.
No wonder people get away with kidnapping our kids and our kids go missing because these friggin' assholes are running around chasing flowers.
Did you hear that? Sam's got 1,500 of those.
That's a lot of wasted
for just over 30 years.
That's a lot of wasted energy and art, but I'm glad that somebody is collecting it so that in the future they can see how hateful the draconian police were when they were handling this and dealing with their Gestapo and terroristic tactics, because these
Very
are just plant
draconian.
terrorizers. These are
Yeah, they're terrorists. They really, and they're, you know what bothers me the most? They're going after the low-hanging fruit because they're not risking their lives and going after the people in society that really are scourges of society. They're not going after the kidnappers and the fucking robbers and the fucking violent crime. They're going after the easiest to go after people, the people that are sick, weak, and growing plants. No respect,
Well,
I got no respect.
Don't forget what happened in the Garden of Kafur. They were not fucking around back then either, and that was hundreds of years ago, wrenching out the teeth of the hashish eaters.
Well, let me just say, for the
Be
sake of
serious.
the audience, fuck them too.
Yeah, fuck them too. I will say agree with that.
And if they suspected you in the Garden of Kafur, first they made you drink rotten curdled milk so that you would vomit, and if it was green vomit, then they pulled out your teeth.
Jesus. That's nasty. Imagine if you were just eating a ton of green vegetables the night before, but
What if you had beets and it was all red? What did they do then?
They probably said, you're a good kid and let you go.
Yeah,
Let you
red's
go
fine.
After they decided you're obviously good.
It's
So-
only green that makes you a flower terrorist.
Absolutely.
So a good thing in those days would have been to keep plenty of beets around.
How is he touching that now? Did you not just have that? Like, did you take the other one and put it in a kiln or something? Or
Yeah, this is the second one, so I'm putting the sticks onto the collar.
oh, I see the stick.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
so this is
I was
the
wondering
collar.
how you were touching that. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well,
Like,
fuck, he just had it over the flame, it seemed. I look over, he's holding it in his hand. Marcel's a machine. He doesn't even use gloves anymore. He just fucking
Yeah,
does it with his bare hands.
he fucked me with that one too. I was like, oh my God. It's like watching somebody grab the old dome Dean, the
Oh,
old
yeah.
nails, and they
Is
actually
there a
grab the
way-
nail to lift them.
Is there a way, Marcel, you can take a decent picture of that with like a phone or something and send it to me, and then I can put it up on the screen? Because it's just so not giving it any justice at all on
In other
that
words,
camera.
Yeah,
In other words,
Yeah,
the pixels just break up a little bit there. Just
it's basically, you can probably see what you need to see to understand what's going on. So this is the cup, and I'm going to make the making now. I'm going to put inside of it. And what's important to notice is you hear that sound.
Yes.
So you can see that it's all it has ribbed texture from the way it's built. And that's
Right.
crucial to the air trap. So like when I failed the air trap last time, I didn't have this much texture. And it was over twisted as well.
Marcel, you
it
need
was
to,
actually a two-part combination problem where I was over twisted on my outer cup and then I over melted my inner piece. So I had two problems that went together to make a fail. Because usually I can overcome at least one problem.
Connor Purcell says it looks like a nice medium dragon.
you need a new camera, Marcel. That camera sucks a hairy banana because that looks like a giant kielbasa to me from here. So if you've got a better camera, time
Yeah,
to pull
take
it
a
out.
picture of it with someone's phone and send it to me. I'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, Marcel.
I suppose I could like Instagram live off this phone here. Let me see.
Just a picture, just a photo. I'm telling you, if you have an iPhone or a new Samsung and you take a picture of that thing in the light, not too close and not blurry, and send that to me.
And that way we can put it up on here, so it's left in preservation for the future.
Yeah, it looks kind of like pig intestines on a stick getting ready to barbecue.
You're getting John all hungry.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much what it looks like, you guys. You're not missing anything.
I see. Okay, well then I didn't know you had the good camera.
No, I mean, I don't know that I have a good camera. It's a MacBook Pro fucking regular camera, but the part isn't particularly attractive right now. The lines are real parallel and perfectly twisted, but the top's a little ragged because it's not a drinking vessel, and there's a different priority than making the lip even. It's just, it has to stay shaped right on the inside. And don't worry about that so much. And then the two ends are just but I'll send this to you, Mark.
Yes, I just sent you a text. So you didn't even have to go look for me. I'm scared to ask, what would a piece cost? Hash Church, any guest?
So how's the transparent monetary system going, Marcus?
It is going really good.
Or Marcel, sorry.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Don't worry, we're one and the same.
The monetary system is going quite well. We're about to release our next coin, which is an investment in innovation.
I like that one.
Is this camera still sucking balls?
You got to go a little bit further away and then hold it real still for a second.
There you go.
And then, then the camera will come.
Sometimes
you also have to put your hand behind it so it can really grab, like, you know what I mean? Like open your hand, palm in. So you cover the whole screen. And that's usually what I do to get it to look. But you got to be real at the perfect distance and then not move at all. Invest in innovation.
It says an investment in innovation.
Investment in innovation.
And then underneath it, it says Hot Shop Implosion and 3.3 AU. So this is a $33 coin. We're going to be offering 3 different edge finishes for the first time. So I've got this bronze edge, and there's kind of like a mottled silver edge, and then the raw black edge. So there'll be collector's packs for $100 with all 3 of the edge configurations, and then whatever's left will be sold as individuals.
I'll take one of those.
I was waiting for that.
Am I gonna?
I'm not.
You're already.
Am I gonna get?
Go ahead.
Am I gonna get one for naming it?
Yeah, I'm sure I could hook you up with one. We're going to cut some possibilities, our endless coins soon. So maybe I'll have to have a round for the. Yeah. So yeah, these are the. We still haven't done one that's like truly transparent. I'm working up to it. I guess You Create Positive Change had some transparency to it. I want to do one with a theme that actually references the transparent currency. I'll definitely get one of those.
Yeah, that's the one I would be liking to have in my starting collection.
There you go.
I'm wondering at the end here, is the pipe that you're making, is it for sale?
The pipe. Yes, this is parts for a Kai Beck collab. So here, I'll show you the other sections for it.
Ooh, is Kai in the shop with you guys?
Not today. I mean, his station's right over here behind me right now. So yes.
If you're not familiar, people look up Kai Beck. This layering of those Rorschachs are incredible. I mean, look at that.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's really cool.
That's gonna be a sick collab.
Monticello I'm making is orange, so there'll be a orange air trap, UV bottom, and top for this. So, well, there's actually another Rorschach section for the top.
So when you're done with a pipe like this, people are probably wondering, what is the worth? I'm not saying what it sells for, but what is the retail worth of a pipe, of a collab between you and Kaj like that?
I mean, this thing's going to represent, like, you know, probably as many as like 10 man days by the time it's done.
Wow.
So if you're a carpenter and you work for $200 a day, then it has to be $2,000, you know, but there's actually probably a fair amount of like actual cost going into this as well. So the price will be significantly higher than that. Yeah, no, I mean, this pipe's probably going to end up being, you know, by the time somebody is appreciating it, you know, could be 5 figures, probably not, but could be. Comes out and what it's how much more effort goes into it and so on and so forth. I mean, just to get the cane I'm holding in my hand is like, you know, if I was doing all the steps by myself, I'd probably have to work all day just to get this little handful. But it's like normally all these processes, like for me in my shop, all my processes happen with a team of people. So I'll have like, you know, 4 or 5 people working on the day that I create enough cane to make, you know, 8 or 10 pipes. But 5 of us will work all day and we'll have spent, all have already spent the better part of a day preparing the glass in the furnace to get it ready to be used and taken out of the furnace in that way. And then by the time you add in shit like what happened this morning where I just lost the section entirely after going through all that work, then I'm like, oh, okay, this is just a B grade section. And I'm cool with that because that's how you get A grade standards.
Exactly.
You know?
It's exactly how you get A grade standards.
Section for zone.
Saying no.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone realizes that. Yeah, I mean, for every mothership that makes it out there as a mothership, there's one that didn't. Like they've been. Scott actually told me they were around 50%, 50% second rate for a while. I don't know. I think they're doing better now, but when they really started looking at their efficiency, like you can't be mothership if you're not seconding that stuff. But the fuck do you do when your tools and like there's so many steps in the processes to make these things that normal tool wear will affect your seconds rate. I mean,
what you have to do is you have to sell all the seconds as another ship.
Yeah.
Well, they actually mark them. They actually engrave them with second actually in the glass. Or if you send it and it's been repaired, such as I know people have broken the neck and you can get it repaired, they will etch an R in it so that because they know the resale value. But when Todd and I were there last year at the mothership shop, I was definitely surprised to see the bins below from all the damage. I mean, it was a great deal of glass that you can see to get that perfection that they have. I'm surprised that it's still at 50%, Marcel. That's still quite steep for efficiency rating, but it's glass. You're dealing with liquid sand or liquefying sand, so that's still incredible.
Yeah, it's super fun.
I don't know though. Also, the mothership's quest for perfection is pretty much second to none. So I could see that Scott is so particular about everything that walks out of there with their brand.
No, I mean, what they're achieving there is phenomenal because they're actually creating a product line at the same standard that artists are striving to attain. Like in my individual practice, I hope to make my pieces as clean as every mothership is. And not all of them make the case. And that's somebody who's been, on the top of the field for a long time. Like when Scott works, he has to second out shit too, to keep his standard. We all do. So that mothership is doing it to the highest standard possible is like, it's really awesome. It's a serious service to the market because it's educating people about how glass should be manufactured and what the potential for the medium actually is.
So do you ever have nice try pieces that you sell? Not
I do. Yeah, I make Sherlock's.
Not quite perfect, kind of thing for po folks like me who can't afford to pay 5 figures. Me, I come from the day when $50 for a bong was like an amazing amount of money to put out for a bong. But I understand the difference and I get what's going on, but that's still, I mean, it's kind of like the Republican health care plan. Everyone has access to it, but no one can afford it. And so that's right. What I'm wondering. I'm wondering if there's anything that somebody like me can ever afford.
Well, that's my favorite thing about doing the coins, because my work's been, kind of like expensive for a long time. And doing the coins has allowed me to make something that is attainable for anyone who wants to collect a piece of the work. Plus they're more than just that, but it's been really awesome to be able to connect with people on that level of like, oh, you and I were connecting and we can do a trade, or we can, you can get some coins or whatever. But
I'm talking about something to smoke through, of course, but and yeah, I can trade you like crazy, but
why don't you sell a couple of those giant oil making machines for 5 to 6 figures, and you'll be able to buy a beautiful pipe off Marcel.
Dude, I am, but that I'm.
Hey, man, isn't a $1 million patent a lot more expensive than a $10,000 bong?
I don't want a $10,000 bong, Todd. I
Well,
mean,
you said you bought $1 million patent. That's my joke. That's my joke.
I didn't buy a
You buy a
patent.
lot of motherships with one patent, John.
Or even a couple grand. Well,
I didn't
3.
buy a patent. I wrote the patent. But even a couple grand, you have to understand, Marcus, I come from a period in time. I'm 71, and I come from a period of time when $3,000 was a lot of money to pay for a sports car, you know.
Well,
And
listen,
so
I'm not going to lie. I don't come from the same time, but when I first met Marcel and he showed me this pipe, it was in 98 or 99. He showed me this pipe and he said to me, yeah, this is such and such a price. And it equaled out to like 4,500 Canadian dollars at the time, which was so unbelievable that it was just like, what do you mean? Like, this can't be true. And I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing. And then within an hour, I had bought it. I bought it. I was smoking it with him. I was like, we got to smoke out of this, dude. Like, it totally changed my whole perspective.
well, I understand that. Everything I've ever
It was
bought in life has
amazing.
been ridiculous. I always buy ridiculous things. I
Right.
tend to steer away from normal things and look for the ridiculous thing to buy.
Exactly. That's it. You got it. That's it. Well, I felt the same way.
I was gonna say, that's what happened to me last year. You guys were in Spanibus. I managed to get myself a mothership, and thanks to you, Mark, and Rowan, and a few other people, like, I love this pipe. It just hits so nicely. It's a different way of smoking for you.
Yeah, they really do put a lot of energy into making sure they all hit a certain particular perfect way, and it's nice.
Well, the way you voiced it was perfect, Marcel. It was a very nice sort of hat nod, tip of the hat to Scott and to the mothership. Just the way you worded that was very much accurate as to what they're doing.
Well, the one that Etienne gave me, the Hitman, is the first time I've been able to take a big, giant dab, a big hit, and get it into my lungs and actually have it work. I got a small collection of pipes that never worked out, electric dabbers that never worked out, but that piece of glass Etienne gave me actually got me interested in doing a lot more dabs, and now I wouldn't be without it. I know it's a torch model, but I ended up putting a nail on it, and I just leave it running 24/7. That way I don't have to mess with the fire part, but it's still there. But man, does that thing hit smooth, man. Every time I hit it, I think about you, Etienne.
Much love. I'm glad. I always think of D-Rec because D-Rec etched it, and he's a good guy and artist, and that was what was cool. Is at the Vegabong, it was D-Rec sitting right next to Marcel. So to run into them was serendipitous and pretty wonderful because they're two people I respect greatly in the glass community because of their breadth of work and their continued. And they've both done collaborations with Mothership over the years. So it just also shows to the respect that Mothership has of other artists by bringing them in and pushing the envelope even with their own pieces and making one-ofs with artists so that people can get access and see and work. And it must be also a joy for people like Marcel to also work with Mothership on those types of collabs as well.
Yeah, great stuff. Let me tell you, my big complaint with bongs used to be that I always had a hard time hitting a bong because it always felt like it was a hammer right in the middle of my chest. But the one that 10 gave me, I can take a full lung load of it and enjoy it, and it's not like being hit. And, I love it.
Much love. Enjoy it.
I every single day for many hours during each day, I do.
Well, that was the point.
It worked. It worked very well. In fact, I'm hitting on it right now. My new favorite is the strawberry banana times tangy that I think was at the High Times Cup rosin. Holy mackerel. The rosin from that, when it's like someone pulling your tongue out of your mouth, painting it with a paint roller, and then letting it back in your mouth. I mean, that stuff is the cat's pajamas. And while I was there, I got at least 10 different growers grew the same thing. That's what's interesting about a thing like that. 10 different people grew the same cultivar, and 10 other different people extracted it and made it available there. And I tried all of them, and all of them have their own taste and smell and effect. And it's not the only thing that's reminiscent between them is the taste and the smell, because they vary wildly in potency and feeling. You know, I get two feelings. I get the high, and then I also get the body sensation from THC these days. And trying all those different strawberry bananas was really something, I tell you. It's my new favorite. Strawberry banana plus Tangy is also my second favorite.
Man, those Tangy blends, the Tangy.
The Tangy, you cut out right at the Tangy.
Well, bong rip then.
He'll be back.
Heck yeah.
Oh, for the record, Cosmic Lettuce wanted everyone to know that none of his cats wear pajamas. Just for the record, thought that would be important to let everyone know.
That's because everybody else has got.
So if you guys are following along with the glass blowing, this is the bubble.
Let's see the bubble.
Like witchcraft, bubble, toil and trouble.
I'm sealing the bubble up that I'm going to throw inside of that cup that we just made.
That's what my mom used to say to me at 10. Bubble. If you made a bubble, you're in trouble. She was talking about in my pants, you know, because when I was a kid, for some reason, I didn't get the social training thing down about pulling in the pants till a little later on.
They didn't teach you don't fart in the tub, right?
I didn't get the difference between the two when I was a kid. Hey, I was firstborn, so I didn't have anybody to look up to or provide any training for me. So,
hey man, I was firstborn too, and I think I caught on. I don't shit my pants pretty young, bro. Oh my god, you're killing me. Oh my mom. All the firstborns listening and going, no, man, that didn't happen to me.
My mother taught me, if it don't bubble, it ain't worth the trouble.
It's true. It's true. She did. I learned that. Not from her, but I did learn that.
You're killing me, Sam.
You're right there, about to prove it. As this will not be worth the trouble if I don't get that bubble.
So you're actually in it right now, Marcel. Like more.
Oh, I'm deep. This is about to go down. The fucking crucial maneuver is moments away.
Damn, dude. Win it. It's taking
the second handle off of this after I twist it. So right now I'm building the heat for the twist.
well, don't let anybody fucking distract you this time, all right?
All right. Well, I didn't say anyone distracted me. I distract myself.
Well, that's kind of what I was talking about, but I didn't want to say that.
All right, here we go.
Don't fuck up, man. I got half the twist. I already did fuck up, but I think I fixed it. It broke, cracked like it often does, and yawned open, and I had a couple levels of sticks going on for a minute. That's all fixed up, though.
So you can see, does it, the type of sunglass that you wear, does it matter what you see inside there? Are there certain sunglasses that are better for seeing inside the glass?
These are definitely very specific glasses. They're not just sunglasses.
Yeah,
they're oakley framed, but it's a custom glass.
That looks like the hottest hot dog I've ever seen in my life.
I would imagine they're like welding goggles, but fashioned as sunglasses.
Yeah, it's technically a green didymium, and it's the ones I'm wearing right now. I believe are a shade 5, fairly dark.
And you use them on the Crucible and everything, right?
It's going in.
So I got my twist about right. It's a lot less than it was last time, which will be good for me. Make it just a little bit more.
So you're steadily blowing into that tube in your mouth, correct?
Only occasionally when I want it to expand. So pretty much when I go back behind the marker here, I'm pushing it against the carbon and blowing into it. So I'm not even really expanding it that much, so much as pushing with my breath inner and the outer like become the line that I'm looking for. Now I got a point on it to go into the other cup.
R.I.P. Benji's sweet. Sorry to hear your 17-year-old beagle passed away today. We'll have a rip for your beagle.
Absolutely. Dogs are part of the family.
17 years, man.
Beagle, man. Long rip.
All right, so this is the big moment. I'm going to inject the bubble into the cup and get a beautiful air trap.
That's a very short prayer for the puppy. It's called Doggone.
Boom. We are going to rip a little rip for Benji's beagle. That's what we're doing. "17 years. You were a great dog for 17 years. Boom.
All right, coming up real soon. This is all about precise temperature management. When can you miss it?
Wow, just like that.
Just like that. Now I just smooth it across.
Hey, by the way, Bubbleman, thanks Tony when you see him for the handful of your samples that he gave me in the little injectors.
Will do. Will do. Will do.
Hey, Bubbleman, you were talking about last week about you're working with the Omicron people. Do you have a ETA on when your piece might see the light of day approximately?
I mean, I was thinking very soon, hopefully in the next, 30 to 60 days.
Ooh, excellent. Look forward to trying it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you will be at the top of the list. At the top of the list for the treats. Well, I didn't blink and I didn't miss it. I'm still watching.
It's absolutely mesmerizing watching glass blowers. Back when I was very fortunate when I worked at the Galaxy Gallery back in the late 90s, Russ actually had a glass blower set up there for glass blowers to come through, and it was, I could just stand there and watch them play with the torch and glass all day long. It's absolutely fascinating.
I always just loved hanging out at glass blowing shops. Like when Slinger moved up here and had a shop in the garage of the old house that I lived in. And then my other friend who lived there was making bubble, and it was just a great spot to go and hang out. Even later when the bubble wasn't happening and it was just straight glass blowing with Hippo and Surf Rat, it was still great. I would just love to go and puff them down while they're blowing glass and having good conversations. It kind of was like a panel, to be honest. It's kind of like you're just on a panel. You got a couple of dudes that might be paying some pretty serious attention to their art form, but simultaneously still very much present for conversation and dialogue and influenced by the moment.
Back in the 80s, we actually went to a kind of a glass blowing show. It was in the shop where the teacher who was teaching it had this huge piece laid out in a big press of the Lord's Prayer, and then they heated it and pulled it down to the
Oh, you're
size
talking
of
about
it.
Nick Marquis.
Yeah, they heated it and pulled it down to the size of a pin, and then they had it. They had a piece of it off, and you could look under the microscope, and it was still all perfect. You could still read the whole thing. And I remember going to that show. There was kind of everybody standing around with drinks and hors d'oeuvres and watching this happen. It was a pretty amazing event, different than what you're getting nowadays. But in those days, they didn't really have the web, or it was very minute and minuscule. I mean, what we had in those days were bulletin boards that everybody went to.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty awesome.
I remember.
He's one of my strongly looked up to elders. Dick Marquis. He did a lot for the scene and being an awesome, inspirational artist, making shit happen.
Yeah, he made a lot of big, crazy plates and things like that as well. He made all sorts of things, and I used to go there once in a while on weekends and just watch them. It was kind of an open shop, as long as you didn't go near the ovens or bother any of the glass blowers. And you had to stay away, and they gave you glasses to wear while you were in there. But it was just, those were interesting events in those days.
I bet.
How's she coming?
Well, that was pretty special in those days. There weren't very many places other than Murano where people blew glass at all.
Yeah, it was such an underground thing there for quite some time. It was really, you guys were doing it.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of the people that are blowing glass now were either students of his or contemporaries, because I see a lot of the influence of the way he did colors and stuff coming out in all the work I see now. But it's just a guess. I don't really know.
He was a major influencer of the 70s, 80s, 90s hot glass scene, artwork. Most of the pipe guys don't know who he is.
Yeah, it was. You could actually get tickets and go and watch him do this stuff, and the way he handled it was almost like a magic wand. He had these huge pieces of molten glass on the end of a pipe, controlling it with a couple of sticks while somebody else was blowing into the other pipe on the end of it, and just inches away from this blast furnace. It was amazing to watch. I mean, we're talking about a much, much larger stuff than what you're doing right here at the moment. Not that it's any less mesmerizing. All glass work is mesmerizing when you're right in front of it. And I assume that's part of the reason you do it. It's mesmerizing to you as well.
Oh, yeah. I was hooked the first time I saw it.
Yeah, and Marcel's
this is
been
it.
known to
We
go
have a
big.
complete, well-executed bubble trap.
Oh, beautiful.
I'll be showing it to you guys in just a moment.
Getting her done. Yes, when I first met Marcel Indra, quite some, maybe not that many years afterwards, he had sent me these pictures of him wearing this insane friggin' spacesuit. And he was like, oh, don't really share these right away. It's just kind of like a new thing or whatever. But they were working with such big pieces of glass, they had to wear these suits, I guess, so they wouldn't like burst into flames or something. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, silver suit with a welder's eye piece in it and huge gloves, but still able to manage huge pieces of molten glass on the end of a stick.
Yeah.
Always
That's
amazed
awesome,
me.
Marcel. Look at that.
Can you guys see the bubbles in each square?
Well, not exactly, but I can see each square. I'll need to get a picture.
I'll send it to you.
Because that looks choice.
Outstanding, Marcel.
Pretty loose too, you know, just chilling with us in Hash Church while he does something that maybe most people after Puchin one might have been like, okay, guys, I'll come back. I really got to focus on this. He's like, no, I'm just going to still talk with the thing in my mouth while I'm blowing it. I just love it. It's really nice. Appreciative. Someone just, well, not someone, but our good friend from Heidolf just hit me up and said, great episode. He goes, Indra discovers Bubble. Etienne tells the sniper story. Todd tells the Nick Sands jail story. Marcel air-trapped Reticello demo. Johnny B, the Chazzer. Sam's badges. Just awesome. Good episode.
I didn't do anything.
Well, what do you mean, man? You talked about the Jazz Fest.
I guess I talked about Jazz Fest. Yeah, tell Bishop I said hello.
I was going to say, this is our mutual friend, so.
You corrected the misunderstanding about chemical versus electrochemical.
Ah, yes.
Ah, yeah.
I was just hanging out with Mike the other day. He made a trip to Delaware, so he stopped by.
Nice. Well, that's awesome.
Pretty much. You guys, this is really hard to get a good picture of.
Don't worry about it then. Not that important. You don't need a good picture. You just need one that's from a distance, not super close, so that we can zoom in on it and it'll still be clear.
Yeah, with the flame behind it, you should be able to see those bubbles pop.
I should look at torch.
All right, did you get them?
I will. The pictures? You send them to me already? I did not receive any pictures as of yet. I'm waiting. So good. You're a national hero, Dr. Scaldone. That's what Check My Mixtape Bra says.
We're pointing out that chemistry is a vast and broad field, and you cannot siphon one part of it off and call it electrochemical. Nonsense. It's all chemical.
We got an Omicron this week. Thanks for turning.
Thanks for the kind words, folks.
Everyone gets the gold star today. Oh, the gold star? I want a gold star.
You know, John, I do think, though, that as we go forward with extracts, people are going to be looking for solutions that are as simple as just water. And instead of, you know, buying all these chemicals and mixing in all this shit, it's going to be funny if we go full circle and go back to water, so to speak.
I would love that joke.
Yeah, I don't think it's that funny.
I'm just joking. Water hash has never been the most popular, you know, but it has been a thing.
So what's up, Mark? Did you get any of those pictures? I sent a picture of the coin too.
I don't think I did. You sure you got the right?
You sent me a text saying Bub's here, right?
I did, exactly, but I haven't.
Yeah, I replied to those, and then I also sent one to the BC Bubbleman address.
I'm still waiting for them to get them via my phone here. That's weird.
Anyway, there's room for all of it. I like Bubble.
I wasn't talking about water hash. Actually, I was talking about gardening. Because I think that now that we're making extracts, what we're going to move to is not gardening with chemicals or anything other than water. It'd be funny if we go back to just using water.
Wouldn't overly surprise
think about it. All
well,
of
you know,
solutions
environmental chemicals implies that those chemicals are being released to the atmosphere. And I'd like to point out one thing here is that you never need gas again in my system because the gas doesn't get out. So it doesn't affect the atmosphere, and it recovers all of the gas from each extract. So
yeah, I was just talking about gardening because I think that what we've seen happen with a lot of gardeners is they've moved into synthetic solutions for spraying their plants for a host of problems. And now that we're doing extractions and people are actually testing the extractions and looking to see what's left in them, the gardeners are going to have to face that they can't spray their plants with crap anymore. And it'll be funny if we go back around to using high pH water, which is what you asked me about a lot earlier. And I think that I wasn't talking about anything but that. I love BHO. I love solvent extractions. I think they've been a godsend to medical patients.
Well, and you know what? We include a silica gel filter underneath of ours that really starts to help out with getting insecticide out in case your neighbor was spraying his orange tree. Hey, that's beautiful, Marcel.
Oh, why did it disappear?
Wow, what happened to the picture? It's beautiful.
I don't know. Let me try to. I was literally just getting comfortable that it was properly opened and displaying, and then it literally, like, I thought about it and it closed. So
It looked like the inside of a temple you see in a mosque where they have these intricate designs like that. That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
beautiful air trapping work there. You can see that bubble.
The flame really popped the bubbles, man. Outstanding photo as well as outstanding work, man.
Yeah, come on, dude. That's just ridiculous.
Hard to believe that you made that right now, just in front of us.
It really is. It's incredible, man. It's just talking on the.
It's like watching a brain surgeon.
For real. I only got that picture so far. Otherwise, I would share the other ones. But there is what Marcel was working on, and wow, that's it's pretty beautiful. I always am hypnotized by the air trap work. Absolutely.
Hey, Marcel, can you trap other gases in there besides air? Like, can you trap a gas that might be once it's heated up, change colors?
Oh, you're muted, Marcel.
You're muted, Marcel. Can't hear
Marcel.
you.
Elliot Harkins says lack of creativity. He's obviously making a joke from that Vice video because it's true, right? Like these guys are so innovative, especially Marcel. He's you're
Marcel,
muted. We can't hear you, Marcel. You got to mute yourself. But yeah, these guys are anything but.
Hey, Marcel, can you put a different gas in there besides air trapped in those bubbles? Like, for instance, a gas that might react?
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking about that the other day because I recently discovered that there's a point where all the holes are connected. And so you could it with neon or something and get it to close up with neon in there. And I don't know what the pressure would be, but
there's a number of gases that will change colors. There's gases that will change colors with temperature. You can ask Dr. Scaldone which those might be, but I know there's a number of them that would.
Right. Well, that'd be interesting, but it'd be really interesting to be able to have a lamp where the air trap popped, like little tiny light bulbs.
That'd be pretty nuts. Light that thing up from the inside of the light bulbs. Each one's just glowing.
Dude. That would be, and it's active light. They're actually creating light. It's not like you have to throw a black light on it. You can have it in a dark room, and it'll just light the room from those little spots.
That'd be pretty incredible.
I don't know. It might be possible. It would definitely take some pretty extensive equipment and attempting here in the studio.
I think anything's possible if we experiment with a large enough dose of psychedelics.
Yeah. The chat's saying about plasma energy, and probably that would be the ideal way to get some different gas to glow in there. A very small battery-operated plasma generator. That would.
Yeah, there's definitely high-frequency radio bases that would if the neon was the correct pressure, they would definitely light. Might light really easily because there's such small pockets.
Well, that would be the most amazing water pipe around now, wouldn't it?
That would be pushing the boundaries at a whole other level.
It would be pretty technically advanced.
But here's the thing. Would you put that on a small format Dragon or would you go for the large format Dragon? I don't.
No, you'd have to call that one the Hash Church Dragon.
Oh, fuck. This is good. These guys are going to be endlessly getting their balls busted for this video. I just can't even help myself.
Oh, man. Dragon's quite popular. Just saying.
Hey, it's Dragon Week on Instagram. I'll tell you that much. I know, Mike. I know. I had to. I shouldn't have, but I had to.
Do you think they're going to get 13K worth of grief?
Oh, I think they're laughing all the way to the bank, probably.
Wow.
A lot of free publicity, even if it is a little notorious.
Trust me, the guy's not feeling it. He's a bit bummed out for sure that it went the way it did. And he had asked his friend, you know, what should I do? And so then I talked to his friend and she was like, oh, he's such a nice guy. I swear he's not like that. I don't know how he came across like that. What should he do? And I was like, I mean, obviously apologize right away, but maybe like do kind of an open table at your, invite the community that you offended into your space.
We
so
should,
they can hang
we
out.
should
with
have him
you
on
and
Hash Church.
Well, she did say that he would come on Hash Church, but I thought it was a little early. I thought first was like, he's got his own space in Toronto. He could have an event. He could fly a glassblower or two in easy enough, do a round table where he's kind of like, look, I did not mean to come across like the way I did. And I want to have a conversation so you can see me, get to know me, and understand that I'm not that 2-minute video. And so
you know the people we're talking about? Do you really think he's got a chance of pulling that off? I don't.
Well, I know this much. I know my friend who knows him well is not a liar, and she says he's an absolutely kind dude. Like, he's just a nice person. And so she said it to me over and over again. And I know that evil people can come across as being
get that he
nice
was malicious or mean.
What's that?
I didn't get that he was malicious or mean from his video. Just totally.
No, but she definitely said he is not the douchebag hipster that he came across. Is basically all I'm saying. Is it's possible that the guy came across terrible. If he's going to do something, what would you suggest he do? Like what, he offended the entire
some humble
community
engagement with the community. It's going to be difficult though, because he's going to have to show his actual personal face and show up at some events. Yeah. Maybe commission a dragon collection. Right. Buy like 5 or 6, buy fucking $13,000 worth of dragons.
Right.
Yeah, like
or
have a nice
$13,000 dragons and have a show of dragons. That's what he should do. Is he should have a large format, small format purchase award dragon show and like buy some dragons, like maybe even have a competition for the best dragon.
I knew you'd come up with a great idea.
You've got Luna who does the dragons. You've got different people who do dragons. So
you should put $1,000 purchase award for the best dragon and pay somebody $100K for the best fucking dragon.
Word.
There you go. There's some amazing dragons out there.
The gauntlet has been thrown down by the glass community.
100K dragon, you buy it, we'll make it.
The only dragon I have is my ass's dragon at this age.
Damn, that's a different kind of dragon for sure. That's a dragon I want nothing to do with.
Well, I hope you get to be at least 71.
Oh, I hope so as well. I do hope so as well. It's something that I would be very happy to get to. I see age as losing my father at a young age in his 50s. I feel that age is a blessing, and so I'm looking forward to getting as high up in the numbers as I can with as healthy of a body as I can as well. I don't want to be all super fucked up and not be able to move and be like lodged in a bed or something when I'm 85.
Oh, well, it's not that bad. I'm not that bad. At 71, I'm still able to ride an electric wheelchair around the show all day long.
What's going on, Sub to the Cool?
Sub.
Dope as fuck.
Congratulations on your Lifetime Achievement Award, sir.
Thank you guys very much.
Hash Church congratulates you, dude, for all the good work and for throwing thousands of seeds into an audience of people that will actually do something with it. Well played, sir.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Got everybody's revved up. I'm good, man. I'm okay. Yeah. Jill's coming. Jill's on the way down. I don't know if you saw the pictures on Instagram. We transported a garden from Oregon to California last night. It's pretty fucking cool.
Oh shit! I did not see that. A garden.
An entire 21-foot ball. Yeah, it's awesome.
The energy in the crowd when you tossed those seeds out. I was about 3 feet away from the stage, and the energy in the crowd when you tossed those out was like a wave, like an explosion of energy. It was a warm, hot energy that just went out through the crowd, man. Everybody was loving you back so hard at that moment that everybody else who was around there got the edge of that wave of love that went back at you.
And just so everybody knows, and I'll shut up. There's a method behind the madness. So now there's 10,000 seeds out there that everybody can grow. And they can enter our one-off cup at the end of the year. Everybody's got to grow the same damn strain. We're done with this whoever likes lemons wins or whoever likes cherries wins. Everybody's got to grow the same damn thing. So it should be interesting.
Right. Yeah, that's a nice idea. I had a similar idea some time ago, thinking that, you know, here's what you do. You have like, maybe you have like a group of processors, you know, 3 or 4 guys that are experts in their different fields of processing, and everyone grows the same cultivar, and you mark it down for each group, and then you have these processors process it in, like, unveil it to perfection. And now because all we really want to see is how well did you allow the genetics to express their potential? You know, those perfect terpene profiles and perfect cannabinoid profiles. How well did you grow that cannabis? Because as a hash maker, I always give 90% of props to the grower, because really they did a lot for 3 months. And in the 15 to 25 minutes that it took me to run a batch, it's just not the same amount of variables.
The genetics will determine the cannabinoid profile, the environment and the grower, the absolute amounts, and the extractor, you know, how well of a yield he can get and how pure and clean, etc.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I'm sure you guys talk about this a lot on Hash Church, and I probably missed it, but after many, many decades in the business and being in California, I've taken a new step. We don't process our flowers anymore. I'm getting around 53 to 57 grams of extract per pound. And I ain't telling you guys nothing. I can knock a quadrant down of plants in 3 hours instead of 4 days. So yeah, other than personal flowers, everything goes to the extract guys now.
We're also talking dry sip, not just extracts.
Yeah, everything across the board.
Extracts and isolations.
There you go.
Hey, Sub, you know, the road might be open Monday or Tuesday enough so that I could get through.
I hope so, my friend. I hope so. I'm ready. Sid was showing me the mountain last night that fell on the road. I still can't believe it fell on the road.
Oh, there's a video of it collapsing. I mean, it's stupefying.
Yeah, it's incredible. I actually thought I thought I was watching a time lapse video when I saw that video at first, but it was a real time video. Whole mountainside fell on the road. But anyway, they say the highway patrol says either Monday or Tuesday there's going to be 1 lane controlled traffic back and forth. So I could come down either one of those days that they open it if you're going to be around.
I will for sure. I will for sure. And thank you. Andrew's been trying to get here and get together and heal me for some time. We were very close Sunday night, but they moved the couches too fast. So we'll get there.
Yeah, we were pretty close at the cup, but man, things were crazy there.
I wanted to ask you, Andrew, did you have fun at the cup?
I had nothing but a good time. That was the best birthday I've had in a long time. I went out of there with about 3 1/4 pounds of samples in my sample bag that different people gave me. A Cuban grower gave me 5 grams of his various different kinds of sift, which I'm enjoying at the moment, and a whole bunch of people did, and it was just, I just had nothing but the best time. Ooh. It was great meeting you face to face and getting my arm around your neck for at least a hug. I transferred some energy to you, but we're going to get this accomplished with me and you, and then you're going to breathe, and we're going to make everything that you still have, which is what I spell. Different people say it different ways, but I spell it HOPE. Okay. And we're going to maximize that and put you on a I feel better program. When you start getting more oxygen rather than less, and you stop operating anaerobically, you'll feel a lot better, man. And I can do that. I mean, I can do a few magic tricks I learned over the years, and that's one of them that I can do. So believe me.
I got to tell you a little joke. It's a little joke and not a little joke. So I have you to look forward to, and I actually typed, I went on Google last night and typed lung transplant. Fucking do not read that, okay? So yeah, I'm looking much forward more to you coming than going to the transplant center. Anyway,
you know when I hit that hot spot on your chest, there, and then afterwards I saw you coughing quite a bit, and that would have been evoked by that hot spot that I hit on you. I told you it was going to affect you more after that, and you wait. We're gonna do something significant, and I'll feel like I accomplished something that one of the things I was sent here for was to take care of various people. You're one of them.
Oh, that's awesome. So switching gears here, if I could, a little bit, kind of interesting. This is actually what I logged on to tell you guys. So the new laws came down yesterday from California, the new MRSA regulations, and some 400 different guidelines and everything. But one of the ones that's got me just a little worried is one of the paragraphs says you can be denied a permit if you have any criminal activity that is in relation to the permit. Well, I find that really ridiculous because most of the people that I know that are really good at what they do and are activists have been in trouble with the law. So I wonder how that's going to affect me. So
it doesn't. It's not that statement isn't. It doesn't mean historic. It says if you read it again, it's not historic. It's not retroactive to something else that you might have done.
No,
So
they're just trying to criminalize any activity around it. If you're doing illegal activity while you have a legal permit, they want to be able to fist fuck you gently with a chainsaw. So this is their way of giving you enough rope, but making you realize that don't go hang yourself is basically what that is.
Well, that's
the whole thing's.
But they want to be inclusive. They want to include, and one of the main reasons is because Steve D'Angelo from Harborside has fought for this to make sure that people with previous felonies or people with bus in this community, it has no effect on their future ability within this market. And the board that's overseeing this feels the same way. So they're trying to be inclusive and not block people out because they realize they would block out a lot of great expertise.
And let's face it, even if you were punished and did a felony once, you paid for it. You know, why pay? Why keep charging you again and again? You know.
No, I look at it like that too. So we're the two things that are weird in my area, not that weird. They're gonna make me put a well in for a 20 by 20 garage because I can't share the water that I poop with the water I plant with. But that's whatever they tell me to do, I'll do. I'm looking at it like this. I'm gonna have to spend some money and I'm gonna have to make some investments. And sometimes next year, I'm going to be 100% legal under MRSA about it.
Yeah, it's been a long road traveled to get to the point where you're just able to do what you want legally without repercussions of the law, obviously. It'd be great to have happen here in Canada. I don't know when it's going to, even with the supposed legalization that's coming for July 2018. It still doesn't really have like hash and all the things I specialize in being involved. Now I am able to make my own hash legally under the federal license I have for medical in Canada. But it would be nice if people could also buy and make and sell hash under the recreational marketplace as well. So I haven't really been able to play because my license allows me to process and produce and grow, but it doesn't allow me to distribute. I'm not allowed to enter the market and say, all right, look, I'm doing this. I got this. I want you to be able to buy it now. I haven't been allowed to do that legally here in Canada yet, if you can imagine.
I want the same rules that tomato growers use, God damn it.
Right?
Amen. Amen.
Right?
I mean, I know we talk about it, but I can't believe there's invisible walls in between the states.
Can I say this though? You guys ready for under $10 a pound tomatoes being your cannabis? Because right now organic tomatoes are less than $10 a pound.
I'm ready.
Well,
and unfortunately, you guys are gonna love this. We talk about Big Farm all the time. One of my breeders' heroes of the farm is fucking Big Farm. I mean, the guy's got 10,000 fucking reefer plants right now, so he can have an effect on the market in a heartbeat. So it's coming from all areas now. I have at least 3 or 4 friends that have factories that grow cannabis in California, and they will be dropping the price. Not intentionally, but that's the way it works.
Well, I mean,
I personally think it's a great thing. I think cost of production is going to have to factor in, and people are going to have to get realistic about what a pound of cannabis really costs to produce and what's really realistic about an honest markup. Because, you know, the markups that we've lived under prohibition have been because of gunpoint. It hasn't been because of reality. I mean, and a pound of tomatoes is as hard, if not harder, to get to market than as a pound of cannabis. And that's just fact.
No, the truth of it is that it actually costs less to grow and dry than it does to manicure it if you want to do it well.
Hey,
Yeah,
those
I
guys
agree with
need a
that.
system, Sub. Those big guys, they need one of my systems.
Yeah, they do. They do. So, no, it's interesting now, and it's really interesting. I was going to say earlier, there's in my county, there's 50,000 small artisan growers, and my county seems to be fighting for those small artisan growers. These are not people who have factories or are making millions of dollars, but they produce incredibly good medicine for people. So it's kind of fun to watch it play out here in my area. I don't want to call it the last bastion of the Wild West, but we're trying to make sure that what happened in Washington, which cannabis is $1 a gram now, and it's got mold on it because they fucking radiate it. Oregon, you cannot buy medibles right now at all because regulations are so strict they can only be very weak. Some of the best cannabis producers in Oregon don't have OLCCs, so they can't take their flowers to the shops. You have big monopoly growers, monetized crops coming and growing the shit. We're trying to prevent that in my county, and I hope we can. We have a lot of money and a lot of people fighting for our rights to remain small growers. And just so you understand, where I live, they're actually pushing me to go bigger. They want me to build a bigger fucking thing.
When you say that, our right to remain small growers, I mean, the problem is that there's not a lot of money in growing organic tomatoes right now on a small scale in your backyard because of the reality of food production and such. And the fact that it's legal to grow those tomatoes in a place it's, you know, geographically smart to grow those tomatoes, so they have less natural problems than we do when we are up in the mountains growing stuff that has, you know, all sorts of problems because of its geographical location. And realistically, I think that's something the small farmers are going to have to swallow, is that they had a run under being illegal that made what they did extremely profitable, but that profit's got to go away with the legality of cannabis. Cannabis should be under $10 a pound, just like tomatoes, and everybody in the world should be able to get their hands on affordable cannabis that can help them with whatever situation they got. And I think the days of high prices are over, and once they're over, you're going to see the Wild Wild West over. It's going to be tomato growing again. And you know what? And people that love it, like I will never stop growing cannabis. You will probably never, ever stop growing cannabis either. But there's a lot of people that are in it to win it, and they're not going to have anything to win when the prices drop.
Well, I think what'll happen with that, Todd, is we'll go away from the corporate model and back to the small boutique models of people who grow excellent pot and make excellent pot. Will be available in every different kind of genome that you can imagine. And it's because people that are growing it are going to be people who love growing it. They won't be growing it for big money because there's no big money in it. And I agree.
Not too far in the future, people like Subcool and others will be able to go direct to consumer. They'll be able to put up a website and they'll be able to sell just like any other person that's making any other commodity on a small farm, you know. And we have just existed under such illegality that's made us all criminals, and now that's going to go away. But as it goes away, so doesn't the profitability, and we should let it go away because it will be beautiful, if not miraculous, to see cannabis in the hands of the many. If people could experience the wonders of nature like I did as a child, like many of you on this panel has, it would make the world a better place. And I say, go, go, go. I hope the price of cannabis drops. I don't care about the small growers that I lose along the way. If the inner cities get saturated with low, mid-grade, or somewhat decent cannabis, and you see alcohol use drop, pharmaceutical use drop, violence drop, I think cannabis will have such a profound impact. Maybe I'm stoned, which I am, but you know what? We talk about it on micro experiences. Oh, the cannabis cup was so peaceful. Oh, this and that. You go to Dutch coffee shops, there's never a fight. You know, this is real. And when you put that into all of society, this world will be a more beautiful place to exist. So cannabis for everyone, low prices, I hope, prevail.
Well,
That's
I'll
what
tell
I
you,
said.
it's not happening in Canada yet. Like the whole legal, federal illegal thing, because of the infrastructure required to even become a part of that game was so high, so many millions of dollars, that they just justified the price that way. And now they're still selling. I mean, maybe the cheapest pot is $5 a gram, but there's definitely like $10 and $12 grams for sure, which is very expensive, $4,000 or $5,000+ per pound when you're producing, 20 or 6,000 or 8,000 pounds per year as your business model. It's still prohibition-based prices under the federal, maybe if insurance picks it up, it won't be so affected.
Optimistically, we're just at the beginning of a new paradigm, and
sure.
we have to let go of the old as we embrace the new. And some of the people that are not embracing the new are the people who are making money off of it currently.
Right.
I agree. I totally agree.
Well,
And it's coming quickly. I will have to say one thing that and Bubbleman will remember this really well. A lot of us came from this silly website called Overgrow, the concept of Overgrow. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm still in those roots. I mean, we gave away 10,000 at the show, but just so you guys know, together with Heroes of the Farm and Mother Breeders, we're giving away 100,000 seeds in 2017. Shove it up the politicians' ass. Anybody that wants to grow seeds in America or in other countries, just let me know. I'll send you fucking seeds. I don't care anymore. Grow the fucking seeds and populate the planet. And that's how we've gotten where we are today. So that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Man. Overgrow the system. I love that sentiment, bro. I heard you threw out like 4,000 seeds when you got your cannabis award.
Yeah, you can see it on. You can see 10,000. Frenchie Cannoli has it on film. It's all over. I laugh my ass off. I walk up and I thank a couple people. And I say, I got one more thing to say. And I hand Danny Danko the microphone and I yell Weedner and I throw 4,000 fucking seeds into the air. Off a stage in Los Angeles in America. And I'm a 4-time felon. So, yeah, I still get
good
chills.
for you. I really admire you doing that, man. It puts the seed is the power. When people have the courage to break the seed and grow the flower, everything else changes for them.
It's true. That's what Dana Larson's been doing the last couple of years. Not the highest grade seeds, but just trying to get people to plant seeds. I think this year he's going for 1 million. I think last year it was 50,000 or 100,000 or something. He got arrested for it, for giving away seeds. In Calgary, I believe he got arrested last year. But yeah, he's just been on this sort of, plant them everywhere. Just get them planted, plant them, whether it's in your garden or out on Boulevard. It's wonderful.
If you see, it's kind of cool, and I suggest anybody that breeds do this. And I want to talk about something else quick, but if you see a picture of me nowadays on social media, you'll see I have a pack of seeds in my hand. I carry a pack of seeds everywhere I go, so that when I walk up to you, I can say. But the other thing I wanted to mention real quick, and I like the panel's thoughts on this, especially Todd's. So it's upside down, left, right here in California and other places. And I'll be damned if I see anything in the new law that's even addressing seed production or seeds. I mean, the big joke here is, my legal recreational 6 plants that I can grow in my backyard. What if I'm a shitty grower and they all get seeded? It seems like a strange system to handle seeds.
Hold on, so cool. First off, the 6 plant SB 420 was blown away by the Patrick Kelly case by both a lower appellate court of 3 judges and a superior court of 9, and they all agreed that the 6 plant limit was arbitrary and they dumped it. So now you can have any reasonable amount. The case stemmed out of LA, but it goes all the way over California after the Supreme Court ruled that they agreed that the state legislature could not limit the scope of the voter approved initiative. So the 6 plants is long gone. Now the second concept is a tier 4 license, as I read it, is a nursery, and that would be what you're looking at doing. You're creating seeds, you're creating cuttings, you're working with genetics, you're a nursery, and that would be a tier 4. I don't see that they're going to limit the number of plants you can work with, because they don't do that with tomatoes or rose bushes. If you and I wanted to go make some black roses and we set out to go breed black roses, you know what I mean? I don't think they would come in and count our rose bush examples that we were trying to, figure out genetically and breed together for our final Kmart or Home Depot product. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where it's going to go in the future. But a tier 4 license is, I think, what you want to look into. And as a medical patient, the 6 plants is just an arbitrary number that's been long gone. Look up Patrick Kelly, medical marijuana. You'll love it. It's a great case, a great decision.
No, that's correct. My doctor gave me a prescription that says as needed on it. So I can have as much as 3-4 kilos of fresh pot a day that I juice and drink.
It's going to be interesting to see what all goes on. Like I say, I'm happy. It looks like with a little luck, I won't have to buy an industrial building in Crackville or whatever. It looks like I can do what I do here. So we'll see.
The biggest thing I'm happy about is it doesn't look like you or I will ever go to jail for growing cannabis. Yeah, right there.
Amen.
Definitely.
No one behind us. I hope that all ends. The torture of prosecution was a bitch, and I hope that people don't have to go through it. I hope families aren't destroyed because of cannabis in the system. I hope CPS is now disempowered this year, and they cannot no longer take kids because their parents smoke cannabis instead of drink wine. I hope the hypocrisy starts to end, and everyone watching actually has to be agents of change and demand equal rights everywhere along the path that they bump into. Because now if you're in California or any of the legal states, you really have to demand equal treatment, and you almost have to change the way you think, because we're all coming out of this go hide behind the dumpster and smoke a joint mentality, when now we have a right to drink that wine or smoke that joint just like anyone else, and we have to actually act like that. Demand equal treatment everywhere. That's my advice.
Let me check this out, Todd. Now I've got another battle on my forefront. According to what doctor I get at SCFO for my transplant, if they are not friendly, they can make the decision that if I have any THC in my body at all, not smoked, they can turn me down for a fucking transplant. So my other friend that's going through the transplant, he goes to the same center, and his doctor's 100% in favor of him eating cannabis. But it's a fine line. If they think you're smoking cannabis and you're going for a lung transplant, they will deny you. So I get to go for the doctor and see what kind of doctor I have. Is he a cool doctor? Or is he an uptight asshole that doesn't understand that maybe medical cannabis is going to help me with my stress, my panic, my sleep, and all these things? So, yeah, I may have to quit using cannabis to get a lung transplant. Isn't that
Well,
great?
they just did that to Riley Hansey in, what was it, in Utah or something? The teen, the guy that basically
he died.
He
fucking
passed
died.
away because of it, man. Like, they wouldn't
Fucking
give this
killed him.
kid
I
a
know.
fucking lung transplant. That's pretty fucked up.
You think I'm not fucking terrified, dude? I'm sub motherfucking cool, and they look at everything. They're gonna look up. They're gonna know everything about me. Transplant. So, whatever.
Well, you got to go in with lots of doctors behind you, showing that, listen, this isn't like smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol with your liver. It's that you're listening to propaganda, and the actual real story behind it is that there are benefits from this plant.
There's also studies, there's scientific studies which have proven that the patients who were medical cannabis users had higher transplant success rates than the non-smokers.
We
That's
really
the
have
reason.
to get on the federally elected officials to change it or vote them out. We all have to take all the energy we've been putting in locally, and we have to translate it into working around the Beltway and focusing on DC, because we can vote those old fucks out just as easily as we can vote the people out in our local districts. And if we get rid of this old mentality of thinking, we can put people in there that'll legalize cannabis. Cannabis won in Florida by 71% to 29% this last election. That is a friggin' landslide. No politicians anywhere across America got anywhere near 71% from the electorate. And cannabis was way more popular everywhere. If we can get that kind of energy in behind getting candidates in that will do what we want, which is actually give us rights to not die in pain, which would be really kind of cool when you think about it, we will actually get the kind of legislation we want. We only really need half of Congress and really the president, and it changes. And we, in a weird way, are fortunate that we have a president that can change his mind pretty much all the time at around 3 a.m. now. So who knows what could happen. But if we put enough actual pressure on the people that are in Congress and are in the Senate, we could actually see change happen in DC, like we've seen change happen in states all across this country.
But Sub, I want you to relax a little bit because we haven't gotten together yet, and so you don't know what's coming. But I want to tell you that there's hope yet, and don't give up on me, and just hang on till I get there, because I can do some things. I learned some things over the years, and I can do some things. And don't give up till you hear me say there's no hope, okay? And I don't think I can remember a time when I've said that to anybody over a 35-year practice. So hang on, brother, because I got something in my hand for you.
Thank you, guys. I love you guys very much.
Can I give you another perspective on that there, Subcool?
Yeah, man.
You be a fucking warrior until you die, because we're all going to die someday. And I'm so glad when I was a little kid, I got to reflect on that as a child. So you know what, man, just be yourself, be proud. We're all going to check out one way or another. Do it in a way, in a space, in a place that you love. Don't ever be afraid of the great passing. Just embrace what you do now, man. You've been like an instrument of change. Always be that instrument of change. This is a beautiful ride we're all on, man. We should never fear anything. Just go, go, go. You know, I don't give a fuck if I get cancer again. I do everything I can in my life not to, but you know what? So be it. And, you know, when I had to go to prison, I showed up on time in a suit. You know, don't be afraid of anything ever. You know,
well, I know you'd rather be alive than knowing that they built a statue to you, though.
You know what, John? You know, I'm enjoying all this. I feel like I'm on bonus time. As a little kid, I never expected to get older. So maybe that's why I'm so grateful now. And I love my life. I love my friends. I love everything about it. And, you know, but I see it realistically and I don't fear any of it. That whole concept of like, oh, it just doesn't exist for me. You know what I mean? The for me would be living my life not passionately, living my life not full, living my life not taking care of myself. Like that would really be the death of my life. So
dude, I wake up every day. I wake up and I go bonus round. And believe me, I've lived through getting shot in the belly, blown up off the top of an APC, rode a helicopter down 90 feet after the bullet went through the transmission, rode a DC-4 piston airplane 7 days just to get to Vietnam. And that was a whole challenge in itself. But anyway, I belong to what they call the Frequent Survivors Club. And I suggest you just join.
Cool. I like it, guys. Oh.
Hey, dare I say, we all survive until we die. And then, you know, who knows? So it's
I have
all
no
good.
plans for the dying part. The dying plans, I'm not making any yet. I know some people do.
I'm not either, but you know, I'll be honest, you know, you never know. And I think living each day as if you were dealing with that lives a very, it was different because when I was focusing on the fact as a little kid that I wouldn't see my grandma, that I might not see my parents anymore, it made me a lot more tolerant of their shit. And it made me a lot more tolerant of the things that I was kind of frustrated with in life, because I went, you know what, this might be the last time I'm seeing this rerun, or the last time I'm saying hi to my grandma. And, you know, and when you start reflecting on like every little moment being a gem, I think you start looking at every little moment as being a gem. And that's when life becomes, every breath is a blessing.
Amen. Amen.
Every seed is a blessing.
You get to the point where you wake up the next morning and you go, up, I'm still here. And I'll just make the most of today, because who knows what the hell is going to happen tomorrow. Because you read the obituary column all the time, and it's all the time talking about people 50, 40, 60 years old dying.
I do not read the obituary.
Willie Nelson just wrote a song and put it out yesterday on his birthday. Woke up alive again today. So I want to do a bong hit for Willie Nelson, who woke up alive again today.
Hell yeah, Willie.
Thanks for the inspiration, Willie.
Have you noticed when you do read the obituary, everybody dies in alphabetical order?
That's weird.
I read them like I used to read the comics, and then I found out the obituaries were funnier.
All right, guys, I'm gonna get busy sending out more.
Hey, thanks for coming out, Sub. Much love, much appreciation. We're about to finish this here in the next 10 or 15 minutes here, but we did appreciate your visit.
Thank you, Bubbleman. Always, always. Very, very honored to be here with the panel. You guys have a good Sunday, okay?
See you soon, Sub.
Say hi to Joe.
Thanks, Andrew. See you, buddy.
Good old Sub Cool.
Hey, Tulsi Gabbard just introduced H1227 in Congress to completely decriminalize marijuana.
Oh, yeah? Well, shit. There's 2 Mark Scaldones in the room. Is this real or is this an inception?
I think there's only one me, right?
No, now one just...
There was 2. Now
Your
there
other
was.
you just bounced, bro.
Oh, man. Where did he go?
He heard about some special show that was happening at the Gorge. I don't know.
Where did he go, you think?
Probably went to a Fish concert.
Oh, man.
He absolutely went to a Fish concert. Oh, yeah. Well, that was good. Almost a 4-hour hash church today. Wrapped it up pretty nice. That was great visit from Marcel showing us the air trap. I really, really dug that. All of that, Marcel, as always. He's still going, of course. Look at him go. Still producing more. So cool. Such a crazy art form. Look at that, hey? He plugged the glass not to lose any of the hot air.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, dude, just thanking you, giving you a shout out and props to all your new projects. We're wrapping it up here on Hash Church, but yeah, it was great to have Sub Cool. It was great to have you, Marcel, come in and show us the air trapping with the Ready. Very fucking cool stuff. Much appreciated, of course, as always.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, dude. Well, we'll get you back again. You're one of our as regular as you can be kind of guys. Give thanks to Skunkman Sam and Indra, the elders, our chemist, Mr. Mark Scaldone, Dr. Mark Scaldone, and of course, Todd McCormick and Etienne, D420K and Johnny B, and anyone else that I'm forgetting that was here earlier that maybe left that I forgot about. Thank you. And thank you, of course, all the people every week that watch Hash Church. And yeah, it is what it is. Hash Church was very good this weekend, you guys. Thank you very much for a great discussion on all things cannabis related. I guess we'll say peace out for now, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace, everybody. Peace out.